Okay, welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 36. I am your host, Supreme King, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Omazes.
Yes, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm not liking that it got a little cold again, but other than that, I'm good.
You know what's funny? I was just about to mention the weather. I was like, you know what? I see the winter tried to come back and do his little fluke thing. It's cool because it's only for one day. It's literally about to melt right back down. And like, I think we got until like next Tuesday or Wednesday where it's like in the 40 degrees again. So it's like, you know what? You know, it tried it. But yeah, I think it's still overall an L for this winter as far as like the cold season. Like it didn't do that good this time. I'm not complaining though.
It, otherwise it's gonna come right back.
They got like less than a month now, right? Like they got about 20-ish days left to do some damage. Yeah, but all I know is like just from plenty of years in the past, like the worst of it was usually right now, like the last couple of weeks in January and pretty much all of February, and it doesn't look like we've seen that much. So I'm celebrating because I ain't got to worry about any surprises like car trouble that usually always happen to me, but it's not happened to me this year. So I'm thankful. I'm blessed.
That's what's up.
Anyways, we got a jam-packed show here. If anybody stayed tuned to the last episode all the way to the end, I mentioned that I did actually pre-order Tears of the Kingdom, and I was going to tell you how you can do it as well for $10 off. Yes, I got it for $60. I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm going to talk about that somewhere in the middle of this podcast. You're going to have to listen to the whole thing, or at least somewhere in the middle, because we're going to actually talk about Hogwarts Legacy for majority of the beginning. And you're watching my co-host footage of this. He just started, and so he's going to give you his impressions. I'm going to pick his brain about a couple things, just performance-wise, because I want to talk about it. And then somewhere later on, we're going to talk about the last-minute recent controversy revolving around Xbox's game Redfall with the disc and everything. And then I also am going to give you a little bit of information about a PS3 game that I just picked up that I probably should have played like 10 years ago, but I'm just playing now. And I'll tell you why for all of that as well. So yeah, man, good show. We're going to have a good show. Maybe it might be short. Maybe it might be long, depending on how long we go on the Harry Potter stuff. But this is your footage. We got a full hour of the footage. So you could tell us about the game starting off. How do you like it so far?
I am loving this game. If you are a Harry Potter fan, if you are an RPG fan, this game is made for that completely. So this is still towards the beginning of the game. When you first go to Hogsmeade, which is like their town, like their mall town, right, where you get their shopping center.
Okay.
And you're going around picking up some supplies and everything. The game has an interesting story that pulls you in right from the beginning. It takes place it's like 100 or so years before Harry would be there, right. 40 years before the Fantastic Beasts series. So everybody's new for the most part, but you could see some last names and go, oh, they must be related, things like that. So it's a nice little call back to other people. You get the full on, make your look, make your outfit, and you get constant outfit changes and all of that stuff, which I enjoy. Changing up looks. You can attend classes to learn different spells and everything like that. It's not like I guess Persona, where it's like a day-night, like you have to do something on a certain day. The town will go the city will go day and night, where it'll just get dark and then turn on, but you just kind of do things as you want.
Okay.
The fighting in it, which there'll be some fighting footage in here, is pretty decent. I like it for the different spells that you use. And then what else was I gonna say? I just got to flying in the game. I'm about 6-7 hours in.
Okay.
And I got to flying. That part's fun now, and you can really go anywhere. They said it if you could see it, you could go to it. If you just can see it, you could go to it. It is good.
That's really awesome
Um,
too, because I think that's basically how Breath of the Wild was, which really set the industry like it really just came like a juggernaut in the industry basically. So to hear
yeah,
that this game does that is also very good because what Breath of the Wild didn't really have is as much as what I could see so far is it didn't have HD graphics. Everything here
yeah,
looks nice and crisp and like the quality, the fidelity of it, and so if you can go everywhere and it looks like this no matter where you go, I mean
it does.
that's an awesome world to be
Yep.
in.
What was really cool is that the game actually links up with the Wizarding World website,
Okay.
which used to be like there was like if you a very long time ago there was Pottermore, and then they've now it's Wizarding World, which will take your Pottermore stuff. If you log in with the same stuff, it'll take it and transfer it over, so it's its own thing. And the game will like from the Pottermore for people that know it. Basically, you answer like a long questionnaire thing, and you get sorted into a house correct for you, and you get like a wand based off of your personality and everything like that,
Okay.
and a Patronus as well. The game will you can link them, and it'll read that stuff. So based off of this performance stuff that I'm doing, I was sorted into Gryffindor because that's my actual house from the questionnaire thing, and then I get the wand that was assigned to me, and like the wand's descriptions and everything are typically based off of personality as well. So it was like the wand description of why that wand chose me matches the personality of why I was put in the Gryffindor. And you don't have to follow it. You could like pick what house you want, pick what wand you want, essentially, or switch things. But if you want to link it, you could do that as well. There
Okay.
are individual missions, like one individual mission per house. Other than that, it's more or less kind of the same stuff. You could be nice, you could be a jerk in the game. Like sometimes people will ask you, "Can you go get this for me?" Because they can't make it. So you go and get it, and when they go like, "Oh, you did you find it?" You could be like, "Yeah, here you go," or "Yeah, I found it, but you're gonna have to pay me for it," or be like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it." It's things like so you can just be a jerk if you
Oh,
want.
okay.
Uh, which I did see one playthrough of somebody asked you to get something, and then the dude kept it, and then the girl started crying. It was like
Yikes.
real upset because it was like a family heirloom, and he's just like, I don't care. And he got to keep it. It didn't do anything.
Yikes.
He just kept it. So, you can do as you please. You can learn the dark arts like combat curses. Unfortunately, they don't really affect the gameplay as well, other than a few snide comments that you get from people. But like other than that, it won't really do much. I will say my one, not really as a criticism, is a criticism, but it's something I think that they can lean towards if they make a sequel
Okay.
for this. Besides the not being able to play Quidditch, uh, my main thing is the world is very active, which is fantastic. Like things are just happening, and if you stand around long
Yeah, I
enough,
could
it
see
catches
because
like,
you're going into different places and it's
yep,
like a full place you can just walk straight into, which
you could do
you don't
that.
see
But
that
then
often.
also there was like one of the times I was going to go buy the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, like go buy some clothing and sell some old like gear that I didn't need anymore because all the gear has like numbers and things like that. So I was like a normal RPG. So I was going to go sell, and as I was walking up to the store, a mother and like her son like come out of the store, and the son's like dancing
Mm-hmm.
essentially, but he looks like he doesn't want to be, and he's complaining because the mom bought socks for discount. They were like half off, but because of that, they're cursed, so it's causing him to constantly dance. And he's just like, "Mom, everyone's gonna stare at me," and she's like, "No one's paying attention." But then if you listen off to the other side, some kid's like, "Dad, why is that kid dancing?" And the dad's like, "Oh, probably the cursed socks. His mom will do anything to save money." And like the
Oh
kid's
my
just
gosh.
forcefully just dancing in the middle of the square, and she's like, "You'll learn to like these socks, deal with it," or something. And I guess maybe the curse was like wear off eventually. But the world is active; things are just happening around you.
That's awesome.
The problem is that the world's not reactive. Like the things aren't happening because of you. So like
Okay.
if you're doing weird stuff, like let's say, and I was talking to somebody else about the game, and they
You
brought
mean
this
like
up.
just going full GTA in certain areas and you just like
Sort of.
attacking people and stuff?
Oh, not necessarily. You like that's part of it, but like for example, if like in Hogwarts, you're just jumping down flights of stairs instead of walking like a normal person.
They don't say
No one
nothing.
says anything. Or like if you're bumping into people, nobody's like, "Oh, excuse me," or things like that.
Okay.
Like they won't. The world doesn't react to things you're doing, or like, why are you running around with the flashlight on, or something like that. So the world's very active. It's almost like, it's ignoring you in a way. Like you are just watching the world instead of in the world sometimes. I will say that didn't disrupt my gaming at all. It was just something I noticed and then I moved on. In terms of performance, it's been really good. I haven't encountered any glitches or anything like that. Everything just keeps like moving smoothly. I will say the only time I've like noticed like it's not performance, but like I noticed is when you're in Hogwarts and you're trying to go out into the main courtyard. So you can just kind of walk through doors. Those ones take a second to load. So you'll like push up against the door and you're still moving, but a little loading bar will come up and then the door will open. Every other door just opens, but that one, like that part specifically.
I will say I did see a review or something of that before where they were kind of saying that's like one of their only gripes. I think at some point they might be able to fix that with just more optimization where just get it to load quicker. Because I think it was Astro's Playroom was kind of like that in certain areas. And when at launch where like it loaded fast, but it was still like a few seconds longer when it first came out, and then they did some sort of more optimization for it, and it was like just slightly quicker. I think they'll find a way. Last of Us, the remaster version on PS4, like they found a way to get that to load a lot quicker as well. Like I remember this was like right before the consoles came out, they figured out how to do that. So I don't think it'll take that long, but I think it will probably get fixed eventually. I don't think it's gonna take too.
Yeah. That was my only gripe, but other than that, it was fine. Like I said, the flying has been good. The missions have been relatively interesting. There's loads of side quests that you can do as well.
Performance-wise, do you see? Like I haven't really noticed it too much here, but is it a lot of popping, or is it any stutters, or is it just it's straightforward?
It is straightforward. Like, for example, I will see like a building far in the distance, it's like some trees, and I flew over there, and it wasn't like things just started appearing. Like, they were there in the background and just kind of got closer. Like, it is really good on the loading part. And here we're seeing we get to a fight scene, so you can see what some of the combat looks like.
Okay.
I will also say, you can, like, there's a bunch of cats just like around, and you can pet them all.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. You can pet every single cat, but part of the story, right? There's a whole troll that's after you, and
yikes.
You gotta fight the thing.
Like you playing any. We got a quick time. Okay.
Yep. So they teach you gotta dodge. So there's certain moves you can block and parry. Then there's other moves you gotta dodge. Like if it's red, you just gotta roll out of the way.
Right.
That's like God of War.
Yeah.
Type thing.
I was
if
gonna
it's
say.
yellow, you can parry.
So this is your character right here.
Yep.
What's your character's name, I guess?
So I wanted to come up with something more Old Englishy, right?
Okay.
So I went with Constantine Carver.
Constantine Carver. Okay.
Yep.
Constantine is that's an interesting one because I know a Constantine, but
if it wasn't that, I was gonna go with Thaddeus Shadegrove, but I felt that sounded more Hufflepuff.
Thaddeus? You said Thaddeus, right? I thought you said the Thaddeus. Like, bro, what? Okay.
Thaddeus the Thaddeus.
All right.
But so Constantine.
I gotta ask you though, man, for your character. I gotta say this, man. Where the buffs? Where the buffs at, man?
I can't find them. You don't know how long I've been looking. So I've even went online and people would just be like, "Got the buffs," and when you go like, "Where?" They'd be like, "I don't know." They just popped up. I was talking to a friend.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend and I was like, "Yo, they got like I've been looking for the buffs in the game," and she was like, "One of those." So I had to explain what they are. And she goes, "Oh, these," and sends me a photo of her character wearing buffs. And I was like, "Where'd you get them?" And she was like, "I don't know. They were just in the inventory at some point."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Why
man.
does no one
The
remember?"
cardies. Yeah.
I bet you I know where they are, and I'm pretty sure I'm being punished.
But
So
you can put them
in
on at
one of
any
the
time or something.
yes, and as soon
Okay.
as I get them, I'm putting them on. But so basically, one of my missions I had to go into this cave and everything, and there was spiders everywhere, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I
Okay.
hate this because they're huge, right?"
Okay.
And there was a room that had like a treasure chest in there, big one, and I bet you the buffs are in there. But like going into the room, I noticed there was a little like a little spider egg thing just shaking. So
Okay.
I blasted it and it got destroyed. And there was another one, I blasted it, and a bunch of little spiders came out to attack me. And I'm like, oh, and I hate bugs, right? In real life, I hate bugs.
Hey, Thanos
So like
snapped
I
that dude.
destroy them all. Then I walk into the room, and the whole room is filled with just like spider eggs just shaking. And I
Oh
went,
man.
nope, there's nothing for me that way. And I just turned around and left. And I know there's a big treasure chest in there. And I was like, like it ain't that important. I bet you the buffs are in there. Like I bet that's the game punishing me. And
But
they
you could
won't
go
give me the
back though, right? Can't you?
I can. So I'm gonna do it, but like it's scary. There was another room where it looked like so the map was telling me to go one way, but of course you just explore. So I was walking into the cave and I saw this area, but it was like web that you had to burn down and a bunch of giant spiders crawling around. I was like, that looked like a boss fight. I'm not fighting that thing. It like just
You fight a boss. You gotta fight all the bosses. You gotta. Oh, there's a cat. You gotta fight all the bosses, man. You gotta. You gotta get all the trophies, I guess, if it's a bunch of them. But
Yeah.
another
So
thing, I
I'll
guess,
go back.
how like spot on accurate is it compared to, I guess, the films? Like, is there like landmarks or anything?
Yes. So
Okay.
there are landmarks. Some of those field page guides that you'll see me like when I'm doing. I do this spell called Revelio, so it like reveals things in the area, and I get field spell guides, which teaches me about things in the town.
Okay.
So they have those that are like landmarks that are within the game, or like things that were like in the movie and everything, and it gives a little explanation behind why that statue's there. Hogwarts looks amazing. Like it's not exactly like the movie, but like of course it's 100 years prior, so it
Right.
looks like something that would become the movie.
Okay.
The rooms look just about the same as the movie, like the dorm rooms and everything
Yeah.
look the same. The paintings, they move and like act and do their own thing and they'll talk and everything sometimes when you're near them.
Okay.
Which is really cool. It is like it's very much if it's not exactly from the movie, you can see where it led into it for a lot of
Okay.
that stuff. Oh yeah, and I just mentioned so in the game you start as a 5th year, so like you're given like they argue you getting extra assignments to like learn new spells is them trying to catch you up for being a 5th year student.
Okay. So you're, I guess, if so, it implies you've been there for 4 years already, or you're just.
So I'm brand new, but I'm not like the age for being a freshman or
Oh,
like being
okay.
a starter. So like Hogwarts schools start when they're like in like 7th grade or 6th grade or something like that.
Okay.
It goes off until like high school. And basically, I'm coming in as like a sophomore
So you skipped school.
in high school. Yeah, I wasn't there originally.
Or
They
went to
gave
a
the
regular
professor
school and
that you're
then
close
came.
with,
Yeah.
they sent him to like start teaching you right away. So it's almost like I found out I was a wizard late, essentially.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like he helped catch you up in the game, and then you're going over to the school. And they had this like when you go into town, it was inconsequential, but there's 2 people that you could have chose to like show you around the town, and one of them is the Slytherin guy that you saw with me, Sebastian, and then the other one was this Gryffindor girl from Uganda named Natty,
Okay.
who was also a transfer kid. So when they asked me who to go to town with, I chose Sebastian because I was like, he's been here the whole time. Like, why would I pick the other transfer kid to show me around town? They're also a transfer kid. Like, well,
Okay.
no, but like, think about it. Like, I fuck out with Natty for other stuff. Well, like, I talked to her first. She brought Natty with her. And it
Okay.
turns out, like, in terms of like the dueling, and when they fight, Sebastian's very aggressive, and
Hmm.
Natty's a lot more defensive, depending on what you need as like a partner. Uh, so Natty's probably really good to team with at the beginning while you're still learning controls. But for me, it's just storyline wise, it made sense. If I need someone to show me around town, why would I choose the other new kid? Like, why wouldn't I choose the one that's been there for 5 years to show me around town? So I chose that kid. But it's cool because like they didn't just do the movie thing where like Slytherin evil, like that. They really tied into the personalities of like with the Slytherin is more
Is
cunning or secretive, or they're gonna do the things that like will get you in trouble, whether it's like for good reasons or not, like that type of thing.
is that the game's way of giving you a side character that's probably gonna be there like the whole time?
Yes, you got a few friends that's gonna be there the whole time,
Okay.
and they also give little side quests and things like that. So one of my next missions, where I'm gonna learn another spell, involves Sebastian. Like he's like, all right, like let's go work on this, or I needed to break into this one area of the game, and because I was friends with Sebastian, it's kind of like hey, he could sneak me into this area, to go do
Okay.
what I need. So,
So you
it's cool.
technically would still have at the very least like two playthroughs if you're really like there's the
Yeah,
good guy
so
and the bad guy one, or maybe in between or something.
that's what I want to do. I want to do a good guy like one, and then I want to see what happens with like the bad guy stuff.
Hmm.
Also, uh, I found out from the individual missions the Hufflepuff one, which nobody really wants to be, which I don't see why. Personally, growing up, I've always wanted to be a Hufflepuff, but they get the hate because they're supposed to be just nice and like they're
Okay.
considered weak. But the Hufflepuff mission, you get to go to the prison. You get to go to Azkaban, the famous
Hey.
prison in the movies, and like the other houses don't get to go there. So I'm like, well, then I want to go there. So I'm gonna definitely second playthrough with the Hufflepuff. But I'm gonna make it like an
Okay.
evil Hufflepuff. He's gonna be a Hufflepuff who
Is it a
dies
place
that
where
makes it
I mean,
forever.
with it being an open world, do you actually still get to go over there later, or
I don't know. So it might be like a whole you can't get there. Like you have to travel because I don't think the prison is anywhere near Hogwarts. So like I think they were like they took a train elsewhere. I don't think you could just get on the train.
okay? But the
Uh
school, so the school itself still is like the same as like I guess in the films, or
yes,
I think I already
with
asked
like
that
more
question technically.
detail.
My bad,
But
but
like with more detail, so you do get to really walk around. And the
okay,
other house is based off of descriptions and things like that. They were able to design like common rooms and bedrooms for all the other houses as well.
what about like the moving staircases? I doubt they would ever
That
do that.
happened.
Oh, that happens.
So I was going up a stairs. There's some that are like you don't see them, and then all of a sudden they just start protruding out of the wall and everything. And when I talked to one of the professors, because she said she also went to Hogwarts and
Okay,
everything, and it was like, "Oh, you were a student?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How did it look when you were a kid?" And she was like, "More or less the same. Although I swear these stairs are constantly moving around, so everything's always different for the new kids."
that's interesting.
Yeah, so they actually say that. Uh Oh, also there are puzzles in the game to like solve, and there is like zero hand holding. Like I would say that in
Oh, they
comparison
don't
to
do
like
the
God of War.
PlayStation like hinting. They don't do all of
Yeah,
that. You just
where they
gotta
just
figure
are
it out.
talking. Yep, there was one I walked up to and I just figured it out. And it was funny, it was a math puzzle. But like all you
Hmm.
see is like some symbols on a door, and then there's a little switch panel thing with like a question mark, and another switch panel with double question marks, and then on the door there's like like numbers and symbols, and that's all it tells you. And nowhere in the game do they tell you what that means. And I just sat there until I figured it out. Recently I was like, let's see, I think it's this, and I was off by one thing, and I was like, all right, let's change it. Where basically it was like I was going on a scale of 1 to 10 to figure out the puzzle. And I was like, you know what? Let's try 0 through 9 instead. And when I did that, the door just opened and I got some treasure.
Nice.
There was zero hand holding in what I needed to do though. And then there's these other thing called Merlin trials, where like you get to a certain area. These are what kind of increase your inventory slot. So for those that haven't played it yet,
Mm-hmm.
when you come across a Merlin trial, you want to do the Merlin trial. Uh, because they have already mentioned in the game too, you start getting loot, and if your loot boxes are like are full and you can't take it any more loot, and you open something to get loot, it'll just disappear.
Yikes.
Because you don't have the slot for it. You can't come back and get it. So
Okay.
constantly sell or get rid of old gear.
So you got to manage your stuff like Resident Evil or something, basically.
Yeah. And the other thing though is you can, once you like get something, the look is automatically unlocked. You can change how things look all the time. So don't feel like you're like, well, I don't want to get rid of this gear because I like the way it looks. Equip new gear and change back to the old look. As you can see here with what I'm doing.
Oh, you picked some
where you
different
can
glasses.
just change, the way things look. I ended up going with no glasses until I could get the buffs. That's what I want. But so you can change the look of things. So just constantly get rid of old gear. You don't need it. But like the Merlin trials increase your inventory slots. And the way those work is you like throw some magical leaves down on the ground, and then you just gotta figure out the puzzle from there. And they're all different. So it's like one of them that was like pots, and I was like, let's try setting it on fire because this looks like a God of War pot. And it was. So it worked.
Oh.
Then there was this other one where I couldn't set it on fire. So I went, all right, let's just try blasting it. And I blasted it and it broke.
Did they make it red?
I was like, cool. Nope. It was just a random pot that just looked like a cauldron. So like I blasted these other ones and they broke, and that was the puzzle. One of them there was like a giant just dish in the ground, and it took me a while, and I'm like walking around like because I'm trying to figure out like what I'm supposed to do, and I hit the Revelio thing, and I see this giant boulder lighting up, and I was like, all right, well let's try and get the boulder into there. So I pushed the boulder over and it goes in, and it did it. But like there was nothing said, hey, maybe something goes into the ball. Not even your character speaks up. It was just silence, and I had to sit there and just go, well, what do they want me to do? As I like turn around. So that was nice. Like I really had to solve the puzzles myself. There are no hints.
I do like that this game was more built with next gen in mind, and they're gonna just like figure out what they got to do with the last gen later. I mean, I know some people who don't got the latest tech probably don't like it, I guess, but it's like at least for the quality of the game, it's not being as compromised. Where other games where it's the reverse, you could see the difference. And like there were some complaints about even God of War Ragnarok because of something like that, because of being a cross-gen game. It's like this is one of those where it's technically still a cross-gen game, but it's built for PS5 Series X and PC, I guess. And then it's like afterwards we'll go back and we'll figure this out. And I think the Switch version is supposed to be like way out. They're like, yo, we got to really try to figure this out. I want to see how it look, because everything I said so far, like all the visuals and everything, man. The Switch version
popping on the Switch, like don't get it.
Grainy. It's gonna be grainy. It's gonna be funny, but they might make it work. It might be. I wonder if it's gonna be cloud based. I wonder if they just decide, you know what, I ain't got time.
Probably.
You better be on the other system. So I wonder if they're gonna do that.
So I will also say this. I know this part doesn't really, I don't want to say doesn't matter to us, but I know it matters to a lot of people to varying degrees. In terms of like the inclusivity sort of thing. Stuff. As you can see, one of the outfit choices was just a dress. Like I can just throw on a dress. Like it unlocks what it unlocks. So there are dresses in the game. There are regular outfits in the game.
They got the swag. You got the drip.
Fit your voice up as you want. You meet a nice variety of students and everything. And teachers and everything like that of all walks of life. Like in a very inclusive game where nothing feels like, everything feels like it has its place in there, and it's just interesting to learn about people. So I will say that like they did a good job there with like representation and all that good stuff.
Okay.
They also, the hairstyles, man, in this game when you got to create your character, I don't know, it is nice to see like they just have a lot.
Yeah, I heard it was better than like other games like Outriders, for example. Yeah, like I heard it was better stuff there.
The dreads was looking fire. Like for a second, I was like, maybe like the dreads was looking good. They had braids, different types. I just went with the faded hair, but I decided to make it like ash pink. They had several colors that you could make your hair as well. And then there's two main voices that you can get. It's pretty much like masculine, feminine voice, and then you can kind of change the pitch.
Yeah, I heard that you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I will say that the pitch, the higher, like it just when you try and like pick the masculine voice and make it a higher pitch, or even lower, it can come off like a bit robotic. Like that part didn't go as planned, I would say. So if you're really trying to be like, I'm a kid, so let's give it a like lighter pitch voice, you're gonna get annoyed very quickly. So watch out for that.
Okay, all right. So this is definitely a you're definitely saying it's a must buy. You recommend it.
This is a must buy. I will say,
yeah,
like 8.5 to 9 out of 10.
Don't listen to whoever that publication was that gave it a 1 out of 10 or something.
No. Yeah. And the 8.5 to 9 out of 10 thing, is only because I could see where it could improve for like a sequel. And I think having like Quidditch, even an online mode for Quidditch, for the game, things like that. I will also say a lot of these outfit choices, I don't know, like everything is either like shorts and very high socks or like pirate boots. And like, I get it, it's the old 1800s, but like,
yeah,
do better. Like, I don't know. The hats all look horrible. Like, you got old timey hats, top hats, and like, just everything looks. The hats look like horror. Which I imagine, I guess, 1800. Like, you're not about to get like a new era cap, I guess. But like, yeah, the hats ain't great. But yeah, overall, solid game. I definitely suggest it for people, especially if you're an RPG sort of fan or if you're a Wizarding World fan. It's a great game. I definitely suggest it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you gave us, impressions and recommended it. This one, I think is probably definitely gonna. They'll be stupid not to give it a sequel because it performed very well despite all the silliness, all of the threats, and what seems to be people trying to do lawsuits now for old girl. It's like despite all of that, like the game seemed to still thrive. I think it's gonna keep thriving. I did want to mention real quick, at least for this one, and I think Dead Space, the remake, I think those two might be in the contenders of Game of the Year. Okay. I think those two are there. I can't try to make it seem like they're going head to head similar to Elden Ring and God of War. It would have been silly to make that comparison. The comparison for Dead Space would have been Callisto. Callisto clearly just lost. But
yeah,
even though that one came out similar, like in time frame, Dead Space and Hogwarts, but I do think both of them are going to be at the Game of the Year. Probably Spider-Man 2 as well, and then Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, they're going to probably be there. I don't know. I'm hoping Starfield is just as good to also be there. I forgot. Do they put like 6 games up there? I think it's 6. But I think we can confidently say Spider-Man, Tears of the Kingdom, this, Hogwarts, and Dead Space might not be. I don't know. It depends on how strong people might feel about it. But from what I was seeing from the people who actually played it and not just like one stream and that's it, like people really still enjoyed it and it was still well received. But we'll see. It might be one of those things where it's there, but it ain't gonna win. I don't think it will win over this. I think what's probably going to end up being the top 2 might end up being this and Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if Spider-Man might make it because Spider-Man is more of a sequel that's more recent, where there's some time between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then this is brand new. But honestly, I don't think that they're going to give it to this one simply for the controversy, because they've done things where you could clearly tell they was trying to please everybody. Like Elden Ring won Game of the Year, but like God of War won everything that would make a Game of the Year. It's like that it don't add up, you know. I think they're gonna pull something like that, and like they'll give it one of those awards where they like only list the award real fast and nobody goes up there and like thanks anybody. do their speech and stuff just to try to avoid controversy, because unfortunately that's
I
the time
hope
we live in.
this fake controversy is just over by the time we get there. Like, I hope people just realize, like, it's not worth it.
I think it's gonna resurface just for that moment though, on a smaller scale, because it's gonna just be within gaming. It would be similar to how like people were done talking about Last of Us 2, but then the Last of Us 2 hate had to come back because of them winning. Like, they won like almost every award that year. And it was like kind of ridiculous. It was like, well, first of all, the fans don't even agree with half of this.
I will say, in terms of the controversy during the speedrunning stuff, no Harry Potter games are going to be there. They already announced that. So it's crazy. Like, I don't know. Let's get over it. Like, get over it. The game is fun. The game is fun.
Yeah, I mean, the game is going to age very well later on. There was one thing, though, that I did wanted to ask, and I guess it was a little too late. Maybe you could just tell us next week, but I was wondering if you could, I guess, play this game or attempt to load this game up with the internet shut off. Because I was just wondering, because it says that it requires internet, but then I heard that that's for the day one patch, but then after that nobody really confirmed. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering.
Imagine you can.
Will it let you?
I can imagine you can, because there's no other online features for the game.
Yeah, it's like after the patch, you can retreat to your home in the woods or something and play with no problem, like without no internet or something, or your cabin. But I was just wondering, because that was one of the things, like Redfall, way later on in the podcast we're going to talk about, also had the online requirement, but then there was like controversy around that. It was like, this game didn't get that type of controversy. It had its own set of controversy where we don't really got to go there. But like, I was just wondering, like, can you start the game without the internet being on? And like, even like probably before the patch you can't, I can imagine, but like after the patch, it's like is it back to being offline or not? That's all I was wondering. But yeah, that's still for the 1 or 2% people out there who don't got internet at home, I guess, because pretty much everybody's gonna have internet, But I was just wondering. So maybe we can talk about that at some point.
No, for like if your internet goes out, like if there's a thing that you still play this.
Yeah, but is that all you got for this game? You have anything else you want to say? That's it?
That's it. This is a really good game. Definitely check it out.
All right, awesome. So this part now is going to be my favorite part of this podcast, and that's the surprise. Are you ready for the surprise? Here's the surprise, and I got a twist for you, sir. The surprise is not actually Tears of the Kingdom. That's going to come a little bit later on for anybody who was waiting. You'll hear about how I got that game for $60. But I got an impromptu surprise for my co-host, because my co-host has no idea that I did my homework. And we are going to talk about all of the Harry Potter movies, because I watched every last one of them. And we're going to talk about them right here, right now. Yes, starting with the first one. I watched every last one, and I have to say, overall, I definitely enjoyed the series. I was not expecting to enjoy it that much. I really went into it thinking that I was only going to like maybe 1 or 2. It was just going to be a kid's film, whatever. It's a kid's film. The first movie was fun. It was fun. Yeah. It was definitely fun. I thought it was cool. It definitely was the most kiddish out of all of them, which was understandable. I will say overall, though, just to start off, that uncle, auntie, and cousin, oh my God, I wanted to reach through the screen. They were so cringe how they were treating him. And then they had him under the staircase. And I was just like, what is happening here?
So,
like, it was crazy.
I have a different argument for that.
Oh, you for it? That's right. My co-hosts don't like Harry Potter, guys.
I hate Harry.
He hates him.
I don't like this character. So here's the thing. Based off of what you saw, right?
Yes.
Because I for the first few of them, I did read the book as well, and I will say from the movie, the way the Dursleys act in the first movie is
Yes.
the way they're described in the second movie. They're a lot worse than the way
Okay.
they were. I think it was like the intention was them supposed to be bad, but it didn't come off to be as bad as like they were portrayed in the second one. So yeah, they're annoying. However, if you're like, don't like, you're telling your family don't participate in this like witchcraft stuff, and then they participated in the witchcraft stuff, and then they died, and then they left behind a child, and you still raise the child, but it goes goo goo gaga, and things just start floating around the room. You're not gonna lock him under the stairs, also.
I mean, it just
he
seems so
can't go.
cringe because they was treating him like he was a slave or something. I was just like, yo.
Yeah, that part sucked. Like that,
I'm
they were
like,
doing that. I didn't like that.
yo.
I didn't like that. How they were treating him, like, yeah, pretty much clean everything, do this, do that. I forget, in the first movie, did they go to the zoo?
To the
In the first
zoo?
movie they went to like where like the snakes in the glass, or did that not happen in the first movie? Because I sometimes mix that up with the book.
I think
It's been a
that
while
did,
since I saw the first movie.
It did happen in the movie where they went to the he put his cousin in the snake pit and then like
Yes.
he
So the
did
first-
something to remove the glass. The glass.
So the
Yeah.
first time you take the magic baby out of the house, it puts your own child in danger from almost being eaten by a snake.
I mean, I guess.
Like, no, lock him up. Then he's always so selfish. Like he has all this money that like this magic money that he doesn't know what it's for, right?
He didn't have access to it right away though, right?
And he got access to it when he got it. And
I mean,
didn't
once
buy
he got
Ron
there, yeah,
stuff.
because he went to the bank with all the not elves,
Yeah.
but all the
the
gremlins, goblins, yeah.
the goblin. He couldn't buy Ron a new wand. Like Ron was using a hand-me-down broken wand. You could just get him one. Like, hey, like I'll pay for it for you, bud. Thanks for being my only friend here. He couldn't do that.
I mean, that's later on. I think that's later on. But
He didn't
yeah,
buy him a wand, did he?
no, I mean like what you talk about because I think he's broke it or something. If I'm not mistaken,
Oh yeah, but
somebody's-
still, it was already a hand-me-down wand. Like,
Yeah.
pay for it.
I
But anyway,
remember.
so first-
okay, so he took
part of
Hermione's
my
Ron at
complaint-
one point because he
Yeah.
broke his and he was just like, okay, I gotta just take yours. I do remember like. Yeah, like by the time we got to movie 3, I was like, okay, I'm understanding where you were coming from as far as like his attitude and stuff. But in the first movie, he was fine to me a little bit. I
Yeah.
thought there was a little bit more like the way they were treating him was cringe. It was crazy because the way he was able to be selected to go into the Hogwarts was kind of crazy to me. Just thinking about it from the optics of like your child getting this and then he can go, but they were trying to stop him and everything. Then it was finally, I think it was revealed maybe second movie or maybe it was the first one where they knew he was a. Oh no! My man's came. I kept thinking he was Mick Foley to me, but I forgot his name so far. But I know the dude who
Hagrid?
bust the. Yeah, Hagrid bust the door down. Basically, was like, "Look, you're going." And I don't care what anybody say. And he was just like, look, you can use magic out here. I don't care. Even though it was like, you're not supposed to. But yeah, the movie was fun. It was definitely a kid's movie. It was interesting because majority of the people were so young. And as you go forward, you get to see them grow up. But I will say the one thing that I critiqued, I remember, was just the game that they were playing. I was like, if the game is over as soon as the one person grabs the gold thing, it was like, what's the purpose of the rest of it? That was all I kept thinking. But yeah, like if you just
part
make
of it's
so many
supposed to be-
points.
That thing is supposed to be pretty much almost impossible to catch
Yeah.
within the time limit. So it's like, get the most points. This way, if they can't catch it, you're good.
Yeah.
That's why they only send one person out to go catch it, because it's like, that thing's
Yeah.
pretty impossible to do.
It's just I find it a little ironic because every time they played the game, somebody caught it, and most of the time it was Harry. So it was kind of funny, but
Of
yeah,
course.
this is the first time that they got it. So he was one of the ones who caught it, and I figured like for the first movie it was fine.
Now I will say this. Oh no, it's the second one, I think. So we'll wait till then.
Yeah, we could like the first film was just really fun. Everybody was like so young. This was definitely like like
Yeah.
Home Alone age basically for everybody. So I can understand for a lot of people how this really grasped them, and they went years of watching these films. By the time we got to see like when he got to the point where he actually had the Sorcerer's Stone and it was in his pocket, and that threw me off for a second. I was like, how is it just in your pocket? Then I remember, like, they were doing like, it's a spell kind of thing. It's almost like it's almost like Mjolnir for Thor, which is like, if you're worthy, here it is, and it's like it's in his pocket. I forgot how the spell went. But yeah, when my man's like took his hat off and his, like, he was in the back of his head.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I watching? It was goofy to me. I couldn't take that serious, but it was cool. But I like the story building for him for the long run, because even when they had other moments where other stuff was going on and it was the plot of the movie, it was like, he's still there. He's still out there. And the moments when he showed up, it was like, it got real. Like when he finally got his body. But when he was in the head, I was just like, man, what are we doing here? But then, yeah, you know, the magic that was on his hands, he basically turned that dude in like stone or something. Like, or he crumbled up. He was turning into stone and crumbling up, and that was it. And it was like, oh, he's finally gone. It was just like, oh no, he might come back. I was like, oh shoot, he might come back. Well, the first film is probably the lightest one. Like this, there was other controversies that I saw involving J.K. Rowling that was like different from her other controversies, because apparently parents were not aware of how the series was going to progressively just get darker. And they were going to start doing stuff that's really not PG at all. Yeah, so they were mad at her, I guess. Because I guess if you look at like movie 5, 6, 7 or something like that and compare it to one, it's like two different versions of Harry Potter. It's like something you would wish they did. Like I would wish they did that with Power Rangers, you know? But yeah. So it was cool. Second movie, I thought it was cool to see everybody come back, because they pretty much recasted almost everybody. I didn't see anybody missing. Like, it's not just the trio or the twins and stuff. It was like a lot of their side characters, people that was like on the actual teams. I was recognizing a lot of faces and stuff. I was like, yo, they brought back everybody.
From my understanding, only I think like 3 people in the series get recasted.
Yeah, but you would barely notice.
So Dumbledore was recasted at some point, but most people didn't even notice.
Yeah, I definitely didn't notice.
Yeah, the original one I think passed around. It was like a movie 5. Cedric, which we'll get to eventually, the Hufflepuff kid, who during the Goblet of Fire thing, that was Robert Pattinson. It wasn't Robert Pattinson in the earlier movies. And then one of Draco's like goons. Was
I kind of noticed
everybody
that
else. Yeah, everybody else stayed the same.
Now, as far as like Twilight, like I kept calling him Twilight. I thought he was brand new when he first came on, because when they like when he came in, I was like, oh, he must be one of them exchange students, and they doing like that's. We'll get to that point. We'll get to that point, but yeah, second movie was cool. I did think this one was like semi secretly dark, because they had him doing the whole like snake thing, mini Satan kind of thing. I was like, what is going on with him all of a sudden just having this? It was definitely explained later on because of his connections to his real arch enemy. But
yeah,
like up until like early on, I was always thinking that Draco was like his arch enemy, you know, in a way.
Draco's just
it was like I was thought he was, but he was just like way like past him. That's usually like the superhero kind of thing. Like you don't just have one person you're dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
But,
I will say in this one, this is the one that had the mirror, right? The mirror of Erised, the desire mirror.
Yeah, and you get
part of me hated that. Like, so it was just let Ron have a moment. Like, this is another thing where I hated Harry. Like, you kept pushing him out of the way. I was like, no, it's me. It's my mirror. Like, it's not your mirror. Calm down. Like,
They
he's over
had
here
to
just
move
staring.
it at
Like, you
one
don't even
point
know
too,
him.
right? They had to
Yep.
move it because the kids were not supposed to really see all. It was messing with them, basically. They see what they
Yeah.
desire the most, and he was seeing his parents. He was having his Batman moment.
Yep.
And-
It was like, calm down. Like, and then Rod's out here, like, let him have his moment. He's like a relative middle child of so many siblings. Let him have something. And Harry's still like, nah, me. Oh, I don't like Harry. But I will say, so this is one of the ones where I don't usually like to do like, oh, but in the book. Because
Yeah.
I've always like, if it's important, it'll make it into the movie. It's what I used to say that upsets people. But there was one thing in the book, there was like a puzzle in this one with like potions in it and everything like that I figured out, I think, in the book which one it was. It was like 7 potions lined up and he had to drink the right one to open a door. And I was like, oh, it's the one, like, one from the right. Like, I'm pretty sure it's that one, like that. And I watched the movie again to, like, see if I was correct. And they just skipped over that scene completely. I was hurt. Because that was what I wanted to see. But past that, it was fine. It was a good movie.
It would have been kind of cool. I wonder how old Dumbledore really was. It would have been kind of cool if he was actually in Hogwarts Legacy, like as a child. But I don't know if
that would have been cool. I haven't run into him yet.
He would have been basically Baby Yoda. It would. That's the only way you could have made sense of it.
He could have been because, well, no, he would have been a baby by the time, because the game takes place in 1890, and Fantastic Beasts, where I think Dumbledore is there at like if I remember correctly, he's in that at like 30-something years old. That takes place in the 1920s. So I think this is like 10 years before Dumbledore would have been born.
I will say, like, the way the Chamber of Secrets was hidden was kind of funny. I was just like, yo, nobody in this school knows where this is, or are they lying? In my head, I thought they was lying. But then the way it was hidden, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense how nobody could see it. And it was a huge chamber. I'm like, yo, like, this ain't no little, like, basement. Like, I was thinking, before they got to that point, I'm like, yo, they about to find this little basement. There's going to be something down there. Like, now the Chamber of Secrets was, like, a whole, like, auditorium size. It was, like, really big. It was interesting, though, how, like, everybody plays school. But then, like, when it really gets real, people like Dumbledore and stuff, he's, like, aiding Harry and everything and stuff, and you don't really understand why until you get to like the later films. But earlier on, it's like, how is this child like able to do certain things in here, and it's like okay, and he's able to go off with certain people, and it's okay. Like, that was
because he gets special treatment.
Because he gets
he gets special treatment. That's why he gets to do what he wants. It breaks the rules, and then he just goes. And that's why it's like he'll be breaking the rules, and Snape will be like, Gryffindor loses 50 points reasonably. So then all of a sudden at the end, Dumbledore's like, how many points they lose? Oh, okay, 500 points for Gryffindor because I like them. Like, no, it'd be trash.
The point system was kind of crazy because when they was deducting points and stuff, initially before I realized it, I thought it was like, okay, it's from people individually. When I was realizing, oh, it's from the whole class, I was like, yo, that's not even cool. Like, how you deducting points from everybody because what this one person did? Like,
yeah, act right or the rest will yell at you. And then no, but it doesn't matter if Dumbledore's just gonna give points to Gryffindor. For no reason, it's like Harry broke the rules. Yeah, Harry broke the rules, but he showed bravery. Like, he shouldn't have had to show bravery because he shouldn't have been there. Like, he shouldn't have broke the rules.
Yeah, because everybody was like, the Chamber of Secrets ain't real and all of that. And then they finally find it in the bathroom of all places. I was wondering, like even with Hogwarts Legacy, I was wondering if they would probably incorporate that somehow. Like, you go to that one place and you can get down there on some.
As of now, one of the like bathrooms I came across is locked off, and it says level locked. So
okay, so maybe you do. Yeah, but when we got down there, it went full, like, it was all snakes, everything down there. It was references to like real life the Vatican. What is it called? Vatican or something like. That's a whole conspiracy thing that we ain't even got to get into. But it's I recognize certain things that from certain those weird channels I'll be watching sometime. But yeah, like when he got down there and he fought some of the snakes and the dude who was like only a memory, I guess, being real for the moment and everything, and it was just leading up to Voldemort. Like, it was another moment where it was like, well, Voldemort has not like manifested yet, but it was a bigger deal, you know? Because in my head, like, if you was watching straight up and you didn't see no books or nothing, like, and you had no foresight, you probably like, I thought we got rid of that dude, and I thought he was just moving on to the next enemy. And it's like, nah, it's like, no, he's gonna come back one day, and it's gonna be a big deal when he comes back. And it was just like,
oh yeah.
As of right now, you know, you're dealing with the memory guy and the snakes and stuff in the basement, and it was still fun. It was still fun. Still questionable as far as the authority, like how are y'all handling this, but it was still fun. But yeah, movie 3 was where I was kind of in line with you as far as Harry, because in my head I was like, all right, his attitude is kind of questionable. That's what I was saying. I had this wrote down too. I was like, yo, because he started doing things that he didn't do before. Like, he had these temper tantrums. He was kicking stuff. He was mad. But then he had this moment where he used the magic at home and actually threatened the auntie and uncle with the magic before even going up to the school. And I was just like I know Hagrid said something a while back, but you weren't supposed to actually use
magic in the Muggle
and he
world.
would just like try me and stuff, and he made the one lady like turn into a balloon.
Yep. Now, she was horrible.
Yeah, she was.
But why did he get in super trouble? Like, it was just like, it's fine.
At that point, he should have been more responsible. But yeah, he
attitude
did that
with his friends. Like, overall,
yeah, because I think this might have been the movie he had an attitude problem with Ron. I think it was this one, or it might have been the next one. But
I think it was the next one, because I had issues with that too. It was either this one. Yeah, it was this. I think it was the next one, because Ron defended him. It was the Goblet of Fire where they had issues because Ron defended him, and he was just like still attitude with him. But
yeah, it was just questionable. But I remember saying at this point that the formula was starting to get predictable. It was like the third film was probably the only one where I was a little bit more negative, actually, because I was starting to catch on to certain things, because they would start off, you know, with his fam, then he would go to the school, then he would play the game, and then at this point the teacher reveals like it's not just the teacher, it's like the teacher's also doing some extra stuff. And it was like, I was kind of like thinking that, but I remember writing down where was Draco's dad and Dobby, because in the third film I was looking for him, because I think in the second film the dad is there. He helped Dobby become free from the dad, right? And then the dad's like threatening, like, you ain't see the last of me or whatever, or last or whatever. And then the third film, dad was missing. Like, he definitely came back afterwards, but he was just missing. So I was just like, where's the dad? So I remember just like wondering that.
I forgot to mention this from the second film.
Sure.
Gilderoy Lockhart was my favorite instructor because he was trash. Like, the one who lied the whole time and was just using other people's stories to make himself sound good. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad they cannot get a good defense against the dark arts teacher. But
I will say, though, at this point, some of the characters, you were starting to notice they were starting to hit puberty. It was interesting to just see, like, all of a sudden they're like getting a little bit older. They're not just kids anymore. And I think Draco was one of the first ones too. I was like, this dude's starting to get some size on him. Okay, but yeah, but his dad wasn't there. It was kind of
cool because, like, when you watched them when they released, like, you're growing up with the characters.
Yeah. I should have loaded up both Harry Potter or both gameplay segments, because we about to run out of it, but that's okay. Well, I want to keep going.
I got to speed a little bit of the other ones, but
we don't got to speed them up, man. We got to give them all their just desserts, man, because it gets better. This is where they start to like really grasp me a little bit, because the darker it got, the more it didn't seem like it was just a little kids film, and it got more it gravitated more towards me a little bit more because I don't really like it when it's like a little kids film. And I was starting to see the difference between somebody who watched the Harry Potter films and somebody who didn't, because somebody who didn't will always compare it to be like a little kids thing, and they probably don't know that by the time you start hitting movie 4 and 5 and the rest of it's like, yo, it's actually dark. Like it's actually like this isn't really a kids film. I don't know if they all still was rated PG, but I know some of these had to go into PG-13 territory. Like they definitely had to.
For sure.
Especially, I think one of them, they even cursed. They used the B word in one of them, like later on, if I remember correctly. But yeah, moving on, movie 4. Now this one was clearly the puberty movie. This one was puberty movie. Everybody was having their little prom dates, and then they was really focusing on the girls like who would watch this because they put a lot of emphasis on these dudes, and one of them was Twilight. I was like, man, what? The second they made him show up, so I need to know this. Like, was he in any promotional material? Because they kind of showed him like a surprise. He just kind of popped down on the screen. He jumped down, and then you saw his face, and it was like the way it was presented was like for a theater reaction.
The first Twilight movie was 2008, and this is 2005. So this is the start.
Yeah, I was like, when he came on the screen.
Yeah, but I also didn't realize, he was replacing an old actor for that role. But yeah, he just popped in.
Yeah, he completely outshined. Like, to me, I thought he was brand new when he came on because of who he is. So in my head, like I wrote down on my paper, Captain Twilight. That's what I called him practically the whole time. Here's Twilight. And I was like, I remember rolling I was not taking him serious. I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, this is really him. Why did they cast him? Like he's gonna outshine the other guy. I was like, but I think I did mention now for this movie, the uncle, auntie, and the cousin were actually not here. And I was like, where are they at? But this was definitely the puberty movie because they had him. They put emphasis on this other dude who was there only for that movie as well, where he was like a championship like player of the game or whatever. And they were like almost doing like a Hunger Games thing at one moment too.
Okay. So, but yeah, it was definitely the puberty because they had the all-girls school and all the girls were cute. Yeah. And then like the boys' school was at the tough boys' school.
Yeah, they were doing that Hunger Games kind of thing.
So they made a rule and said that if you were not like a senior, you cannot enter this thing. And then Harry's name just pops out, and they go, well, he gets to do it. No, if you had your rule, that's it. If another kid would have threw their name in there, they would have gotten in trouble. Like, you just let Harry do it, and then
I think this was where Ron was mad because I think Ron thought he cheated and did it. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
To try and get glory, which, know, Ron, like, wants that. He wants to feel glorious. He wants to stand out. He's just another Weasley.
Yeah.
And he wants to stand out, and then Harry just gets all these chances. So there was that. And then he's like, yo, you're keeping secrets from me. I thought we were supposed to be boys and everything. Yeah. And Harry's just like, nah, I'm not going to tell you. Also, throughout this series, like, Harry, you got bullied, right? But you should know how to fight now because you got beat up by your cousin. So if Draco called your friend a mudblood, even for the first movie, you ain't know what that means? You haven't been part of this wizarding world. Punch him in the face. Like, show him muggle fights. Like, what are you doing? Stand up for your friend. He just stood there. Like, every time.
I thought this was one of those moments, too, where it's like Megatron from the Transformer films where everybody say he didn't get his like he's being disrespected. I felt like Draco was really being pushed down because he was not shown as one of the alpha males like the other guys.
He wasn't. Is this the movie where Hermione punched him in the face? It might have been the next one.
I think it was. Okay. Because
that should have. I'm not saying one of them needed to defend her honor, but as many times as he's picked on Harry should have punched him in the face, and he never did. Like, Hermione did it, he just ran off crying. Here's my other thing, too, with Draco. He got punched in the face, and he ran off crying. How does anyone take his bullying serious? Like, you've already shown to have lost. Because I think they also, did they introduce Luna in this movie, or was that the next one? The weird girl with the platinum blonde hair.
Oh no, that was later on. Yeah, she is very weird.
But like overall, like you've been proven to be like trash, and people have already beaten you up, Draco. How are you still the school bully? How does anyone take you serious? They can just punch you, and you're not gonna do anything about it. But go, my dad will hear from this. Like, just beat him up. Like,
now the dad did show. The dad did come back in this film. And this film was like one of the main ones that ended up being a little bit more dark, including the dad. Oh, yeah. The dad was like one of the main reasons for this.
That was another thing during the tournament, right? The part where like the one girl quit, it was just gonna let her sister just die, and then Harry like saved her and everything. So when they were like, this person's first place, right? And then the brute should have been second place, but they were like, but Harry decided to save everybody else, so he gets extra points for being a hero, which wasn't part of the competition, so he gets to be second place. He shouldn't have been in the competition to begin with. Like, he should have been third place still. That's trash that he just got to get moved up to second because he's Harry. Like, oh, this kid.
It was, so this one I thought was a little bit more interesting because I remember I wrote down, like, they're still putting the kids in danger with these games because it always seems so odd to me. It was like the only time it made sense to me was when they had to learn how to fly early on, but then it was like the games were really, it was to the point where technically someone could die in any one of these games.
Well, they would have died. Like, they were about to leave the girl. One of them did die.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so but yeah, as a puberty movie, like this was the one where everybody was pairing up to do the dances and stuff. And shout out to the Indian girls. I think one of them may have been recasted, but there was 2 Indian girls here who were like Ron's date. One of them was Ron's date, and the other one, I don't think it was Harry. It was somebody else.
It was Harry's date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Harry liked the one girl. The Asian girl who ended up going
with one of the other guys.
With Hufflepuff, with Twilight.
Yeah.
Went out with Twilight. And then Hermione went with the Russian guy.
Yeah. They did it like that. But what was funny too also was it was one of the first films where it was subtle, but they teased that she likes Ron and everything. And I think they may have done this to film before, but I remember there was a moment where they teased them holding hands and then didn't do anything else like that for the rest. I think that was the last film 3, where they made them hold hands for like a split second. And then in my head, I was like, okay, they're going to go there in the long run and they're going to really suck in everybody with this. But like this was the one where it kind of stood out a little bit more because she's getting her feelings hurt again, because almost every film she cries because she gets her feelings hurt for some random reason, but this time it was because she felt like she wasn't like Ron. I think Ron wanted to ask her, but she was already gonna go with somebody else because they asked her first, and she was crying because she was like, don't wait to the last minute to ask me, and I'm not just your last choice, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, he was like, a dick about it. He was like trying to be like, I'm gonna be a jerk, and then I'll ask her, and it just backfired.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I think those 2 Indian girls, this might be the first time that they were in this film because I don't remember them before.
Oh no, I've seen them in the background.
They were in the background. Okay.
Yep, and they would just walk around because they were always together.
Okay,
I remember that.
Because they didn't get no lines or anything until now. So I was just like, okay. Well, maybe I just didn't... I wasn't paying attention.
That was something else that I didn't notice. There's certain characters where like a background character will randomly just get a line. This movie, they were in the previous ones too.
Wow.
So they were just background characters. So like there was that one... You'll notice it in the next movie.
Yeah.
Where they were in the like little quarters room and arguing with each other. And there was like the one black kid that was there with the afro.
Yeah. They played
He's
the
been in
Asian
all the
girl
movies.
later though. They made her look bad and then just never. They just left it like that.
Yeah.
Like it was just at this point it was like they were already fully into the point that the Harry Potter films are darker at this point. But yeah, the ghost girl shows up in this film. I forgot her name, but yeah, she's
Luna?
here.
For the fifth one, Luna.
She was in the fourth one too. The ghost girl.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
The dead girl. The girl from like she was at like they had like the hot tub part at one point. She was there. The ghost. She was a ghost. She was dead.
Oh, yes. She's been there for a while. The one who cries.
Yeah.
Like, or wails. What's her name? I forgot her name, but
Yeah.
she's been in the bathroom and she cries a lot too. That's her thing.
Yeah. So she was here. We get to the point where Draco's dad is back and everything, and it's just like it was like one of those first moments where you just have like adult versus kid like moments outside of like the first film or whatever, where it's like this guy's alive and like your son and Harry are in the same school, and we're blurring the lines of like ethics and stuff here because it's like in real life he is a Dark Lord. And like the way the school was portraying things was like, oh, the Dark Lords don't exist anymore. Voldemort is like only a legend and stuff. He's no more. But then you have like, you know, Draco's dad here, who's clearly a Dark Lord and then a part of that and other things. I gotta mention, what is my man's name? The teacher with the long black hair, looking like Keanu almost. Like, what is his name?
Snape.
Yeah, like I was back and forth with him the entire time. Like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Because I thought he was bad initially in the first film, and then they revealed that he was helping Harry while somebody else was casting a spell during the game when they were trying to get him to like fall off of his of his thing or whatever. And
that was supposed to be his role. He was like helping, but he hates him because he hates his dad.
Yeah, like when they revealed all that, I was like, okay, all right, dude, all right. This kind of simpish a little bit. Get over it. You could have got another woman, dog. It was kind of funny. But like it gets really dark with him later on. But yeah, he was back and forth with a lot of things. And there were moments where he was helping Harry, other moments where he had to betray him that was later on though. But yeah, this was one of the first films though where it was like, this series is dark and you are now like knee deep, you know, at this point. And so you're going to see the dark stuff now. We got you. You know, this was like every Christian mom's nightmare, if anything, because I had to hear about all this stuff when I was a kid. And I'll get to that later. But yeah, movie 5. This was one of my favorites.
All right. So first of all, I got to complain about Harry real quick.
Yeah.
Because this is the height of like me really not liking him.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I gotta go back to movie 4 real quick. I remember for a split second, I just had to say, they killed Twilight. When they killed my man, I was like, oh shoot, they didn't kill Twilight. That was what I said. I was like, yo, they didn't kill him. It was like extra dark. They killed them off and everything. And I thought the other girl was killed at first when the trees and stuff got him. But then she wasn't. But Twilight was clearly dead. I was like, oh shoot, he's gone. That's it. He was only here for 1 million. Yeah, but yeah, movie 5. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Okay, so with movie 5, so Harry comes back to the school, and everybody's already pretty much like, all the stuff is happening is your fault, right? Which it is his fault.
Yeah.
And Ron's like, leave my boy alone. Harry, you good? He's like, I don't need your sympathy. Don't talk to me. And just started going off on his friends. So he's isolating himself. So then the only person that will talk to him is the weird chick, Luna, because she's weird anyways. Which
she was definitely
she even
weird.
says it there. Yeah, but like she even says it there. She was like, when he was like, I don't feel like I have anybody on my side, even though he pushed everybody away. And then she goes, well, maybe that's how they want you to think. If I was the villain, I'd want you to feel alone too. So he hears this. He starts training everybody to be fighters, right?
Yeah.
And everything like that. They're breaking the rules. And you got that horrible new headmaster lady. But like, breaking all the rules, all that stuff. He's finally like, forgiven amongst his friends. And he got them back as like a squad. And then right when they're about to get to the height of everything, he goes, all right, I'm going alone. And they're like, no, we've been training with you. And he's like, no, I need to do this by myself. It's like, get out of here with your dumb self. Like, oh, like you just, why train everybody? And why talk about friendship if you're going to still go at it alone? But yeah, so this movie was good. Like, you got.
This was one of my favorites. This is one of the top.
He also he instantly tried to hook up with Twilight's girl.
The Asian.
Right after the death. Yep. They kissed. And then all of a sudden, when like their whole room, their secret room requirement was revealed.
Yeah. He
to the
ghosted
headmaster,
her.
You didn't even.
Everybody ghosted her too.
You explain?
Yeah, nobody
like,
got an explanation.
Like,
she was just the way they had him look at her, and she walked off, and then like literally half the school just didn't like her no more.
Yeah,
and they kind of just left it like that because they had to focus back on him and the main character of the plot.
Like,
but that was the end of her.
And it was like, y'all didn't even think to go, hey, what happened? Like, clearly she was on y'all's side.
That was it. She was still there for later films, but she was like in the background, but her character arc was done at that point. It was just like, forget you. We don't care about you.
When it was revealed, oh yeah, they poured truth serum on her, so she had to tell the truth. And he goes, never apologize.
Nah, no.
This school didn't come back to her. She was just ostracized.
She was just like, gone. It was crazy. She was just,
Harry.
I do want to mention though, at the very beginning of the film, so the auntie and the uncle are actually back in this film. Yep. They were not in the other one. The cousin's back too, and this was the one where he really hit puberty. My man's is a big boy in this film. Yep. That boy had some size on him. I was like, yo, because he was always shorter than Harry and stuff. And like, yo, this dude was big. You could have been his bodyguard. I was like, yo, this dude lifting.
They're about to pick on him, and then Harry just pulls the wand and puts it to his neck.
Yeah.
Like, you wasn't about to use magic? Like, put your freaking stick away, boy. What is you doing?
Yeah, dog. It was really starting to get darker and stuff. This is definitely one of my favorite ones. That lady played her part correctly because I was hating her. I was hating her, dog.
So
it was her attitude with it, like, cause she reminded me of like some of the like employers sometimes, how they are, where they'll smile in your face but be super shady at the same time. That was her.
Well, also the part where she was like, write this message until you understand it, it burns into their skin.
Yeah.
And then her body was like, go report her, and Harry's like, nah, I gotta deal with it. No, you go report her. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and she did get outed for that, and she basically strong-armed herself into the situation and was firing the other lady with the glasses. It was just like, yo, this is my school. Yeah.
I felt so bad for her. She was like, I ain't got nowhere to go. And she was like, I don't care. And the whole school watching. She was like, get out of here.
Yeah, they put her on blast. You don't usually see that. Yeah.
One time I was on Harry's side in this movie.
Okay.
Was at the beginning where he was going to get in trouble for saving his cousin from the Dementor because they're like, you used magic in front of your muggle cousin. And it's like, one, his muggle cousin knows he's a wizard. Like, he knows he's going to wizard boarding school.
Yeah, it was also kind of confusing because he did do magic before, and they didn't say anything to him that earlier film. That's what I was thinking.
Treatment. And then two, the other thing, it was like, well, what was Harry supposed to do? Just die? Yeah. Like, at that point, they were just like, you can't use your magic. Just let the Dementor do its thing. Like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just die then. So that was the only time I was on his side. But past that, it was like, you get on my nerves. But, can we also talk about, we skipped over this? It was something minor. Can we talk about how, like, Ron's pet was a grown man the whole time?
Yeah, I don't know if it's this film or the next film, but it gets revealed. And I was always cringing.
It was revealed with the werewolf story in The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay, because I was cringing a little bit because it was like the whole time, though, he still had to have a rat. Like, he had to hold it and everything. I'm like, man. And it was kind of funny, too, because old girl's, like, cat was chasing it at one point, and he was mad. That was some goofy stuff. It was goofy stuff. But the teacher being dark and then her being a part of like the other stuff later on and everything, it was definitely a good film because they got to the point where finally, and it's crazy because this is like movie 5, but Voldemort actually has a body and he shows back up. And it's like, usually in films, they try to have like a trilogy at some point, you know? They don't like, you don't get the big moment like movie 5, but like the film series was so good that Hollywood just, they put all the money behind it, they kept going with it and everything, and I guess it paid off because it built to this moment where he actually gets his body and he's actually back, and they have like their one Kamehameha wave moment for a split second too, and it was just like, yo. And it was like, yo, it got real. Like, it got real. And it was like one of the first times. And it's like, yo, this dude wants him dead. He's saying things like, not only that, I want you to beg for your life. I want people to know that, like, you didn't just have this scar on your face and all this other stuff, because everybody's saying all these things like you are the chosen one. It's like, no, I just had a mistake and I'm about to correct that right now. Like, he was like not playing. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It's dark, but he's finally here. And I really like this one. This was like one of my favorite ones.
I like the reveal to the ministry. Where they were just over the whole time like, he ain't real. And at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, I guess he is real.
Yeah, it was like, because everybody all like, he ain't real and stuff. I'm like, y'all said the same thing about the Chamber of Secrets, and he managed to get down there too. I'm like, y'all should pay a little bit more attention to this, especially because nobody really questioned. They still kept letting Draco come to the school. I'm like, y'all not questioning the dad at all. The dad out here doing some wild stuff. And like, that should be known. And he can still come on the premises and bring his kids and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, that was a great film. I guess for a movie. How you feel
about them killing the teacher? They basically, or the headmaster, they basically killed her. They let the Centaurs have her.
Yeah, they just.
And then
she appears back later on, but yeah.
He threw that line back at her, but like, yeah, let the Centaurs have her. That was crazy.
I will say, I think when the dad came back in movie 4, one of the spells that they always like use as a default, I guess, just for the film, because I guess the audience knows it, was the one called Stupefy.
Yeah,
and
that's in the game too. It's your parry. That's how you parry in the game. Stupefy.
The name of it made it more tongue in cheek for me, because when they got to the point where they were in that one area and they were surrounded by like a lot of adults that were Dark Lords. It is like, yo, it's really real right now, and one of them is Draco's dad. Everybody's like, Stupefy. I'm like, yeah, couldn't think of a better name, please, because it would take the air out of it for me a little bit, because it sounds goofy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know why it's Stupefy, right?
Why?
The game, because all the spells are in Latin, and to say stun in Latin, it's like stupeficient or something like that. That's why. It's because it's the Latin word for it.
Even though like in later films it still got darker, it's nowhere near as dark as like what a lot of people probably have seen. You know, as far as because I gotta go there as far as like the religious world for a second, because I was just like some of the kids that were being shielded from this still went on ahead and did a lot of bad stuff that's more like universal. It's like, not to really go there too much, but it's like, yo, some of y'all still did drugs, some of y'all still went to jail. Like that, you would have wanted them to just play around with some of this pig Latin stuff, because it was all like, to me, I looked at it the same way as like the Snoop Dogg having his own little language thing that he was doing. Because if you say levioso, like, I'm gonna know exactly what you mean. You just mean levitate. And it was like, it wasn't really like your kid, you know, doing stuff like.
Well, also they were learning Latin. That's a whole language. Like, they were using a language. Like, I took this class in high school. I took a Latin in high school.
Yeah.
So that's why I recognize a lot of this stuff. And my teacher used to laugh because he said most of the spells meant something, except for half of the things Harry said. Like, they did actually translate correctly, but majority of the stuff you could see the slight translation.
Like, it was still like there were still moments where Harry would just introduce something brand new and I ain't even hear him use it before, or the class, and I'll be like, okay, all right, he getting this thing. But as far as like that, like I could understand where a parent probably would think like, oh well, once they're done with this, they'll go actually practice witchcraft or whatever, and they probably don't want that. But in real life, they didn't do that much. It's like, if anything, they wouldn't practice drugs. They still went and you know, did all the what you would normally see in communities. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me is arguably worse. And so they should have just calmed down a little bit. That's just how I feel about it. But we can get back on topic. It's just, I'm just saying for me, because
that was the issue.
I was one of those people who was quote unquote banned from watching this. I was technically, you know, going against a bunch of people, but here I am watching it. So haha.
I was not.
What you gonna do about it? I watched it. Now what? But it's silly. It's just, for me, it was also silly because I already knew I've seen way worse in horror films. Way worse.
Oh yeah.
To the 10th degree. Yeah.
Without getting too into it, it's just how you raise your kid. Like, you can watch stuff and just be like, don't do that. Like, it was very clear I wasn't out here trying to study like witchcraft and all this other horrible stuff after seeing it. My mom was just like, go ahead. Like,
I just feel like if your kid still grew up and still went and did a whole bunch of like normal crime or got into normal bad,
you already messed up.
Yeah, it was just like, this is the least of your worries. You would have wished that they did this and play Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon or whatever. It was like, because anybody who was like, you know, really into that, you don't see a lot of crime. We'll let it go. But I was watching these films and I liked them. 5 going forward, I really appreciated more. There was like, they were darker and they didn't feel like a kid's film, despite them having kids here. By this point, going into movie 6, pretty much everybody hit puberty. Everybody's looking older. Everybody's like you recognize everybody. You know who everybody is at this point. And then they introduced like one new person. Like, they had like a black girl play a waitress at like a coffee shop or something. I forgot. It was like really early on in that one. And she was new. Other than that, the wizards were not playing games at this point. They were not playing games because they had the teacher. They had the snake eat the one teacher. She was like contorted, just like in the air or whatever.
Yep.
And also, this was the one episode where they had the one teacher with the black hair, I guess, be a dark
Snape.
lord. Yeah, Snape. Yep. I can't get his name right, but yeah, him.
He's like one of the favorites. Yeah, Snape.
Yeah, and they also was having Draco at the table with these people too, and Voldemort's at the end.
Place is bad.
Yeah, and I remember when Snape was there, and he was like, "Hey," Voldemort's like, "Hey, man, glad you made it. We left you a chair here," and they got the teacher just floating in the air, like contorted, and she's just like, she can't move. They got whatever spell on her. I don't even know why they have her like that, but they didn't kidnap her. They got her like that. Voldemort sitting at the edge of the table. This is like one of the most scariest moments of the whole series. For the, like, I could see how like maybe this was the film that the parents were upset with, because he just pulled his wand out, zaps her basically, and she's just done in front of Draco, who's the youngest kid here, who you could see also as we go on that he is clearly conflicted. He doesn't want to be as evil as his dad. And I think even the mom understands this later on, and she betrays Voldemort. That's like way later. But it was just like, he really, because you can see they really did a good job with the acting on his face. Because you could tell it was like, this was way too hard for him. He's still a child. Like with the rest of them, even though they're older and everything, they're still playing younger people. And so he sees a teacher who's probably one of his teachers get killed right in front of him. And then they told the snake to eat him. And the snake gets on the table and goes right after it. And it's like, yo, that was really early on. And he's like, his other teacher here and his dad and everybody's like bad. And they're all right here in front of him. And he wanted to be bad, but he didn't want to be that bad. He wanted to be like in high school kind of bad with his 2 bullies and stuff. That's all he wanted to do. He was not ready for that real world stuff. That was real world stuff right there. It was way too much for him. I remember like like feeling for him a little bit, even though he kind of steps up here and be more of a bad character, of a more prominent character in this film. I was feeling for him because I was like, yo, that's some strong stuff to see as a kid. Like, that's strong. Even if you're like teenager, because I think at this point they're still like 16, like, right? Because they weren't 17 yet in the other ones. It's like you're 16 or 17 now. To see that, to see it in front of your dad, to see it in front of your other teacher. They kill the one teacher. She's looking at the one teacher like, hey, I was your friend. And he's like, he's in full undercover mode. He can't budge. He got to let it happen. It was just crazy. And this is all so that Harry at one point can defeat Voldemort for good. It was crazy. And she was just an unnecessary sacrifice. It was a crazy moment. That was like one of their big boy moments in the series that really like solidifies like this is not a kid's film anymore. Like, there's no way they could have put that in the first film. Like, no way. It would have been disastrous as far as like how it would have been perceived by parents who were showing this to their kids. Like, but by that point, you're suckered in. It's like they knew they got you. This is movie 6. They got you. You know. But I remember I put here Emma or Hermione was taking more L's because she was she constantly crying and getting played. It was just this is another one, but Ron got Molly in his champagne. That's what I put. He was drugged in this one. I guess that's what that means. He was drugged in this one a little bit. It was crazy, and I think this was the other film where they went there where they really was showing that she had feelings for him. Because I think she was on the side like crying, and Harry was trying to comfort her and stuff. And he was just off with some other girl. I forgot who it was. He was just off.
Wasn't it Ginny?
Yeah, I think so. And then like
Ron's sister.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other guy from the other film, like in the other film, they showed them like exchanging numbers, but then he never comes back. The other, the guy who was her prom date or whatever from the other film. Yeah. He like literally never comes back. That was it.
Well, I mean, he's in that Russian school.
He comes back. So that was it for that. But everybody else is here. The Asian girl at this point is like a background character. The Indian girls are also background characters. The twins, though, the funny thing is the twins they were really older. Like, I'm like, yo, these guys are like 21. Ain't no way. They were older. And like, I think they aged out earlier. So they were able to use their own magic outside of the school. And so they were doing things like zipping around quickly and stuff. And another good film. Voldemort at this point was clearly established as like the bad guy. He was almost up there with like some of your greats at this point for me. He really was. Yeah. So I was starting to really understand how everybody else is like really a fan of this and stuff. Okay. And I put him up there. I put him up there as like one of the greats. And yeah, so moving on to movie 7, I was like, yo, at this point, this was the most serious tone, like, of the entire series going forward. Like, from this point on, these 7 and 8 was like my next or my other 2 tops. Like, if I had the top 3, it was 5, 7, and 8. 7 and 8 for real. At this point, very serious, very, very serious. You start off, his auntie and uncle, as far as like treating him bad and all this stuff, they were not even worried about him. They was like, listen, it is not safe here. We need to get out of here. And they were just leaving. And he's just like in the house or whatever. They were out of there. Like, it was a completely different tone for them. Because before, like all the earlier films, they're like clearly extra animated, goofy almost. You know, it was just like a whole nother thing at this point. It was just a whole nother thing. And so they left. Actually, I must have had that wrong. So teacher got ate by the snake. That was actually movie 7 then. That wasn't 6. My bad. Teacher got ate. But I noticed Harry, Ron, and Hermione, none of them are at the school. they're at this point, they're kind of on the run.
Yeah, they gave up their
Yeah.
last year to go hunt the Horcrux things.
Yeah, they're not, and it was also a big deal either in this film or the film before to try to get Harry to the or to the other area. Like they had to move as a team unit. They had to like disguise people as Harry, and I kind of thought that was like, I was like, there's an elephant in the room here I'm gonna get to in a second, but they disguised people as Harry and got him over there, but they were on like attack mode, like they were on it basically, you know, to the point where I think somebody died, right? Somebody died on the way of getting Harry over there, but they finally got Harry over there, most of the main characters as well. But the whole plan to turn everybody into fake Harry, I was like, shouldn't you just turn Harry into somebody else? That was what I was just thinking. I was like, everybody won't attack. like if you don't, then everybody's attacking all the fake Harrys. But if you turn Harry into somebody else, then there's no Harry, and then it basically just moves on. You know, that's what I was thinking. But they didn't do that. They turned everybody into fake Harry, so everybody was getting attacked, and they all made it like in separate times, but it was like harder, and then a couple of them did die. It was a crazy thing. Yeah, that might have been movie 6. I don't think that was 7, because by the time we got to 7, it was very dark. Like I said in the notes here, like that was the one where the teacher actually did get 8, and then they're not even at the school. The creature Dobby finally returns to actually help teleport them away. He died in the process because she threw the knife at the last second.
Worst.
Like Dobby was out of here.
That hurt so much. Because it was like, just don't come back, man. You safe, you free, you got your sock leave. He came back.
He was like, Dobby's here to help his friends. I was like, all right. And he was like, I'm going to bury this guy the correct way or something with no magic, which I thought was cool. That was pretty cool. And I believe by the end of this film too, Dumbledore, we found out in movie 8, I think, that he planned his own death basically, and it was all a big trick.
Yeah.
It was a crazy trick, but like Voldemort digs his grave up to get his wand, which is considered the most powerful wand in the whole land, and like does his Thor thunderbolt in the air, and it was real. Like at that point, it was really real. It was dark. I was like, yo, he went over there and grabbed his wand from the man's grave. And was like, yeah, I'm serious. I am going to do what I got to do. Crazy, crazy moment. I think this was the last time that we saw the auntie and uncle and the cousin. And it was like a very serious tone from the get-go when they got rid of them, because they, like I said before, they was always goofy. Even though you didn't really like how stuff was going on, it was always about like, oh, the cousin's the favorite and you are like the rejected. That's how they were treating it.
Yeah.
But at this point, he was very, very secure with his magic, and he was not having it being treated that way. And afterwards, they was like, we're not even about to fool with you, because all these things is coming after us because of you. And they was out of there. They were out of there. They introduced all the other characters, like the lady with the hair, the black hair, who threw the dagger at Dobby. What is her name? I don't know her name either.
Bellatrix?
Yes.
Yeah, she's been there for a while. But this was like her
swan
trust
song.
Me, I am a villain. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she was responsible for like other stuff. I think she like hurt the Weasleys in the past. But like this was very much her like, nah, consider me a villain too.
Yeah. And at this point, like Voldemort's power was growing. It was like growing. But by the time we got to movie 8, they were finding ways to weaken him and everything. And at this point, I was like really invested in how this ends, because Voldemort had the Elder Wand, Harry had the cloak, and then he also technically had the Resurrection Stone because it was hidden in that gold thing that they play around in the game. But I remember my only gripe was that they were saying like if you bring them all three together, you would see like death as an actual entity, and I don't think they actually did that. The story kind of alluded that maybe his dad was the one with the cloak early on, but maybe that probably wasn't it. It was probably the cloak was passed down from that guy to his dad.
Probably.
But they didn't really go there afterwards. I thought they were going to actually show this death entity, and that was what was going to actually kill Voldemort. But that wasn't the case. But by the time we got to movie 8, my first note was, this is Endgame. That was the first thing I said.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
This is Endgame. It was real. They had the part at the bank with the dragon. And I also thought it was pretty cool that they were visiting a lot of different places between movie 7 and 8 that were all places in the past that they saw for the first time. And it was just like they were there almost as adults, and they had their ability to like travel instantly because they were fast traveling with that one magic spell they were doing, hiding from Voldemort and stuff, going everywhere they could. And the evil lady teacher was back, and it was to the point where they couldn't even go nowhere because if they were spotted, it was on sight. It was like everybody was looking for him. It was crazy at this point. I was like, yo, is killing this dude really that much of a big deal? He's just a kid at the same time. I'm like, man.
Nah, he gotta go.
Yeah, because it was crazy. Ron and Hermione finally kissed in the Chamber of Secrets. They had their moment. It was almost seemed rushed in a way. It was like one of those things though where the fans, I'm pretty sure, really wanted to see this.
Well, yeah. So in one way you could argue rush, but in the other way you could argue it took 8 movies. So.
Yeah. The teacher's death was crazy. Snipe, or how do you say his name? Snape.
Yep.
When he got his throat slit, I was like, oh, bro. And they had to get his memory out of his eye drop so he could reveal everything and stuff. But the way it happened, he was like, oh man, you was really good. Voldemort's like, yo, you was really good, but because you took the wine, and I need the wine, and the only way to get it is I gotta, get it from you, and I gotta live because I gotta do this. So you know what? It's like, I was like, dang. It's like there's another moment where that definitely wouldn't have flew if it was in the first film. Like at this point, you really in here. It's like you are here. Dark moments. But I liked it though. It made it more, because some of these moments ain't even in Marvel. I was starting to compare this to Marvel because it was like a nice longer build, but they weren't even doing that much dark moments in Marvel. But yeah, at this point, like, everybody was more grown man, grown womanish, doing their magic, and even though they were on the run, they can, hold their own with some of their magic, like Hermione's magic, where she created the force field where nobody could see her, but they were still able to smell her perfume, and she didn't think of that. Like there was moments like that, and then I will say it got tongue in cheek for a second when Harry showed up to Voldemort, and for whatever reason they had Hagrid like tied up or chained up or whatever, and he was like, "Why are you here? Get out of here!" And Voldemort sees him, right, and he says a spell to kill him, but doesn't know he has the Resurrection Stone. It was just, it was so goofy how he said it, because he was just like something like that. I was like, what did he just say? And then struck him real quick and he falls over. But then afterwards, like he had to play like he was dead when he wasn't. And then like Draco's mom sees him, like kind of twitch for a second, but she tells Voldemort that he's dead. And I think the reason was because she wanted to protect her own son from what was going on. Because I think she peeped out. Draco ain't really with this, really. Despite the father kind of being with it. The father wasn't with it when he took the wand. He took his wand and like snapped off the back part where he was trying to make it his own, and he was just like, oh, I thought if I had a different wand I'll be better. And he was like, well, that actually is not true, and that's what made him get the Elder Wand. But you still took the dad's wand and broke it, basically. It was like, oh man. So they were kind of not liking him, but just didn't want to say nothing because I was still technically, the boss. But yeah, so Draco's mom tells Voldemort that he's actually dead. They got Hagrid carrying him to the school. There were so many moments though where he was twitching and moving, and it was like funny to me. I was like, no, he's really not faking death right. But it worked long enough by the time they got back to the school, because the school at this point, they were at war. They were at war. They had like everything running towards the place. They was like, let's use these spells to turn every statue into a real army man and stuff. I was like, yo, it is serious. They can't even have school at the school. It was starting to look like real life in a way. But it was just like, yo, like, so like, yeah, the last couple of films, I was really enjoying it because I felt like, yo, this was really serious stuff here. This was really good stuff. It was serious. And, yeah, we are hour and 45 minutes in. We ain't getting to none of the topics. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, so, when he got to the point where he's at the school flexing, telling everybody y'all can be a part of the ranks, whatever. I think we didn't mention this because it was technically important. There was the sword that revealed itself in the ice in the ground.
Oh yeah.
And they got the sword. They gave it to one of the other characters in the film. And
Neville, right? Did Neville get the sword?
Yeah, it was an important thing too. He was utilizing it more, and he utilized it against Voldemort. And this is when Harry like reveals that he's not dead. It was kind of like it didn't go over too well for me. I was like, I would have wanted him to like strike Voldemort from the side or something. It's like you just rolled out of Hagrid's arms. It was like, oh, and then they kind of still squaring up like how they would do just at the school. And then they finally had their Kamehameha wave moment as well, and then he lost, and then that was it. But I was expecting the deaf creature to come. They just never did it from the tail, and it was fine. But yeah, as a film, I still enjoyed the film. Ron's little sister being with Harry later on, it kind of just came out of nowhere for me. They just kind of did it.
Oh, so. You must not have noticed there was like several hints that like she was into Harry, like several times. It was like every time he was with the family, she never stopped staring at him. Like every single time.
I noticed a couple times.
Whenever it was hinted with like Harry with somebody else, like included the part where he really complimented the Asian girl, like, "Hey, you're doing really good," trying to kiss her. So he was like, "You're doing really good at the practicing." You could see Ginny being jealous, like in the background. They always kept it as a background thing, but if you watch it, like every time he showed any other girl like anything, like you could see her being jealous, and she was constantly staring at him and things like that. And, they really left it in the background.
Yeah, that's probably why those are the type of things that you catch on when you rewatch films and stuff. Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to rewatch anything yet, but. Yeah, I noticed more of Ron and Hermione though. Like that was more in your face, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Like throughout the films. So
I was happy that they didn't do the trope of like Harry is the main character, Ron's the best friend, and Hermione's gonna be the girlfriend for Harry. Because main character. Like it was nice that it was those two together. Because even like when Harry would just like catch up with him, they were just together already. And it was just like, oh hey friend. Like, so, yeah, I like that.
At the very end, though, I wasn't expecting them to just straight up do a time skip where they got kids and they sending the kids off. Because it was also it was a little awkward, too, because some of the kids didn't go. I was like, oh, so not all of them are wizards, I guess. Despite being offspring of a witch and a wizard, I guess. But, because I don't know
Remember, their grandparents, some of them, like, half-blood. Like, and Hermione, that's why she got called Mudblood.
Yeah, so.
They're part human.
But when they dressed them up like as grown-ups, especially Ron's little sister, it seemed weird for a second. It was like y'all adults. But yeah, Dumbledore planning his death and everything was a big move. I was just like, yo, that's crazy. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Because it was like all to keep Harry alive. It's like people are dying all around to keep him alive, to get rid of Voldemort. It was that serious. But yeah, they finally did it. as a series, I thought it was still a very good series. I don't think I would be one of those like super Harry Potter nerds or anything. But I can appreciate what it brought to the table for what it was. I do think I will go ahead and buy the book, the first one, and see if I like it and then continue. Because I'm really big into reading books right now, so I might read that probably closer to the summer because I got the books I'm reading right now.
Yeah, let me know so we can talk about it because I left off on the third one.
Oh, you didn't keep going?
So, like, as a kid, I read the first two, and then as an adult, I reread the first two. I started the third one, and then just life got busy, and I haven't gotten back to it. So you gotta let me know.
I understand
because we can talk about it.
Because I've heard that the books were even more darker, and when it got darker is when I was really more interested.
Yeah, darker, more in depth, and there's a lot extra there too.
Okay.
It's a lot more character development too. The background characters do a lot more. Like I didn't realize like there's a lot of like I feel like reading about things Seamus said, and then you're like, who's Seamus? And then he didn't like speak up in the movie until like movie 5. Like the kid who was like, it's your fault he's dead. Like something like that.
Yeah.
He like spoke. I feel like he spoke up a lot. So
it was interesting how certain characters would be in certain films and then not in other ones, and then just kind of come back. Like the Ghost Girl skipped a film. So. I think the Ghost Girl skipped a film. The weird blonde girl, they just kind of just had her there in the later ones where she was like in the forefront. Now she might have been in the background in the early ones too, but
I don't think so. I think she was like newer because I think she was supposed to be younger, like Ginny.
Okay. I was almost expecting her to be an evil person at the end of because she was just kind of so weird and then at the same time so knowledgeable about stuff. I was just like she was helping solving a lot of riddles and stuff to help get things going.
I thought that too, but I think what they were trying to do was that she's so knowledgeable because she doesn't have friends, so she got books. Because there was another thing, if you notice, how everybody else thought the carriages were being pulled by just magic, but like Harry and her could see the like skeleton horses and everything, and it was like only people who have brushed with death can see that. That's a node. By the way, for if you play the game, you got to remember that line. It happens at the beginning, though. Okay. It was like a nice little subtle thing that they do to like reference that part. That like when you're come close to face with death, that's when you can see those things. So it's established she has come face to face with death, like, and she's like so young that I think she's just traumatized and weird.
It's gonna be a long podcast. I'm gonna try to speed up everything else because a lot of other stuff is actually gonna be short. I knew this was gonna be long. I didn't think it was gonna be 2 hours, but yeah,
Harry Potter. It'd be like that.
That was one of the surprises. I just wanted to mention. I did secretly watch all the films. I did not say anything. I actually had everything watched. I was trying to have everything watched by last episode because I didn't know if he was gonna have the stuff ready by last episode. So up until like literally that Friday night is when I saw movie 8, and then we did the podcast last episode, so I had to pretend like I didn't know anything. I also did not tell you, but I also bought Hogwarts Legacy last week as well.
Yo,
I bought Hogwarts Legacy.
That's why you just haven't been logging on. Are you about to play it?
But I'm not gonna play it just yet. I would rather just get your footage for the game for right now. The reason why, for the people, I have a ton of PS3 stuff that I got from you, as well as other games that I'm still trying to finish that I promised the audience, including not Alan Wake 2, but Alan Wake's Control is basically what I'm saying.
Control, yeah.
Because it's still, some of that stuff is still a part of the part 2 of the film that I'm still working on for part 1, which was Alan Wake's entire thing. And it's like there's stuff that I've mentioned on the channel, and I have to appreciate the channel. Hit the like button for anybody who made it this far, because there's probably going to be about another 30-40 minutes of this. I mentioned Alan Wake a few times, so I had to finish that video out. And then a part of that was also Control, like I mentioned, but then also what was that game called? I can't think of it, but it's a game on Xbox. Quantum Break. That's what it is. Quantum
Oh
Break.
yeah.
So all of that's kind of connected. So it's like I got to finish that. I wanted to finish. I'm gonna talk about Infamous later because I did start Infamous. We'll talk about it later. But you know,
Okay.
all those PS3 games and stuff. I still want to run through a lot of that, and I do want to talk about real quick how I got Tears of the Kingdom because it also is connected to Hogwarts Legacy just for me, but for everybody else, it's not illegal, but you'll be finessing the system a little bit. But Target and a few other places, I did mine through Target, so I have Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda, Legend of Zelda, pre-ordered under Target, and I was able to do that one for $60. And the reason why is because Target on their website, there are certain items that you can buy that are actually very cheap. But I went for the big one.
Okay.
Some are things you can buy there. It can be either a book, a movie, any little item there. Some promotions have where when you buy it, you're given a $10 gift card. And you can probably see where I'm going with this, right?
Yep.
And you can go with any little thing that you want from their website. And it's actually not just them. There was a couple other places that I saw that were doing this, and then they also listed Tears of the Kingdom where you can pre-order. And so I did what I did. I bought a game. So for me, it actually was Hogwarts Legacy. And then I got the $10 gift card, so I was able to pre-order Tears of the Kingdom for $10 less, and I got it back down to
Okay.
60. As far as Hogwarts Legacy, I actually got this for 60 as well. I'm gonna tell y'all, this is another surprise. This is something you probably won't just be able to do. With Target, what I didn't realize is I actually had accumulated some sort of online piggyback from when I bought all the Ninja Power Rangers from Hasbro. And so it
Oh.
it wasn't 10 exactly. It was like $8.90 something, and it like brought it down. And so that was like $63 or something. And then the pre-order for Tears of the Kingdom was like actually 61 something. But they're not going to take that from me until it ships. So I have until May for that. But yeah, that was how I got it. It's for anybody else though. Look on the website and look for little items, stuff that you probably wouldn't think of that you probably need or just want. It can be stuff that's in a $20 range. I've seen stuff that was way cheaper, and they really will give you a $10 gift card later. And then you can go take it and use it on something like Tears of the Kingdom if you don't think it's worth 70. And so that's what I did. That's what I did. And so yeah, I got Hogwarts Legacy as well. I may have bought it before you actually. That was the funny part. And I couldn't reveal it. I just like I can't tell him that yet. It's not time yet. But yeah, and yeah, I was watching all the films. I watched all the films, and I really appreciate it. I think for anybody who is like super religious, you can probably relax. Like even for the kids, it's like, trust me, like there's way more that your children is probably into that has nothing to do with this. That's way worse. So this is like so tame. Even with it being darker later on, it was so tame. But yeah, I just want to mention also real quick, GameStop has some sort of exclusive wooden plaque that you can get if you order Tears of the Kingdom from there. It kind of looks funny. It looks like one of them like really thin cutting boards almost. It's like slightly bigger than the case. It's really small. And it's just got like some Zelda symbols that you would recognize if you play any of their games in the past. So that's there. We can finally move on real quick. I do want you to just give me some impressions and stuff about Diablo, because I saw this guy came on screen. I was like, that wasn't supposed to come on screen yet. Like we really went too long. So tell me about Diablo 3 and what you expect from Diablo 4, or any changes you would like to see made to Diablo 4 for somebody who probably don't play this game.
So me, brother and sister, I've been playing Diablo 3, the Eternal one, Eternal Collection, and I played Diablo 3 a long time ago on PS3.
Okay.
And I'll play it again here. It's fun. It's a dungeon crawler, get loot, like attack stuff. Nice variety of moves. I'm using the Necromancer class. which has been really fun to use, and the story is interesting and things like that. For Diablo 4,
Yeah.
I would say one, make it a sequel to Diablo 3, not Diablo Immortal. So stay away from the loot box stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Diablo Immortal
Put
stuff
it in the
there.
game like these.
Yeah.
Like these ones, all the loot is in the game. And you get everything unlocked in the game. Only other thing is maybe more of a slight variety of villains or like enemies. I just noticed I'm kind of stuck to the same moveset throughout like most of it and just kind of do the same stuff over and over with very little like difference. And we really needed to pump up the difficulty before we even like got a challenge. Like it was very much, we were like, for the three of us, we were taking out bosses before they could finish their like monologue. So we had to really pump up that difficulty.
Diablo 4 looks really good too. From what I remember seeing, it looked very good.
It does. I'm interested to see where the story goes because this one felt a little more definitive. We're still playing through it though, but it's fun. Like it's a dungeon crawler, get loot and equip new stuff, try out new moves, and go. This necromancer class is very interesting. It's very much drain energy enemies of their like essence, and then revive the like bodies of enemies to go attack. And I can like summon bones and armies and stuff like that to attack for me.
Okay. Yeah, I really like how the new one 4. I like how that looks. I think it's going to definitely hit a new audience because this game's a little bit more dated now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And this, you're playing this on PC or are you on the one?
PS4 or PS5.
PS4? Oh, PS5. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on PS5. They're on PS4. But yeah.
Okay, so y'all doing the crossplay, basically. Okay. I did see this normally retails right now for like $20. So if anybody want to get into this first before that one comes out, Diablo 4, $20 and you can get that experience. So definitely looking forward to it, Diablo 4 when it comes out for me. We can move on from that. That doesn't have to take too long because we are in super overtime. So I guess our unofficial sponsor, 1 hour late, we could talk about real quick. Epic Games. You've heard it here plenty of times before if you've been here. You know, if you want to get some free games, they got you. All you need is a profile. And so the game that's still free as of right now until February 23rd is the game War Pips. And I believe that one is like not You Sunk My Battleship, but basically, you know, like war from a regular PC game. You know how they do like a strategy kind of thing?
Real-time strategy games.
Yeah, so that's what that is. And then the next one is Duskers. I believe Duskers is from February 23rd to March 2nd. You'll be able to claim that. That looks like a space game. I didn't actually look it up. I should have, but it's more of like a space kind of game. I don't know too much from it, but it will be free and everybody be able to get it. And then a couple quick sales things that I saw. Best Buy has Cruisin' Blast, a Nintendo Switch exclusive, a racing game. If you didn't want to play Mario Kart and you wanted something slightly more realistic on that particular console, they got an exclusive that's going to be $19.99 at Best Buy. You normally see that game for like $30 or $40. I got mine at $19 like a long time ago. And so they have that there at $20 physical at Best Buy. And you can get it online as well. The next one, $20. I thought this one was interesting. Also at Best Buy, but this is the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, the Ultimate Edition. This includes all the DLC characters. And that's the PS5 version, and that is actually all the versions. It's fully multi-plat. PS5, PS4, Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox X and S series. $20 across the board. It comes with the full thing. That's crazy, right? That was the game that was supposed to take out Smash, I guess. There's a game that I technically have started but haven't finished, called Eldest Souls. Now, I still recommend you get the Steam version because it's going to be way cheaper. But apparently, it's going to get a physical copy on PS4, PS5, and the Switch. And you can pre-order it at Amazon, but it will be $34.99. It does include all the expansions, but I believe so does the Steam version. So if you want it physical, here you go. But it's gonna be $34. Definitely still check it out though. It's still a cool little Souls-like. It's mainly boss battles, nothing else, just boss battles back to back. And then on the PSN store, Metal Gear Solid 5, the definitive experience, is $3.99, very cheap. You get to play Ground Zero and the Phantom Pain within this, the whole thing. If you one of those people trying to figure out why everybody likes Kojima so much, well, here you go. You could try this out for $4. We definitely in the overtime before Spoken came up. That was like one of the last videos. Yeah, I also thought this was interesting too. The game Like a Dragon. So I have in my notes that it was going to get a demo. It has, the demo's out, but it also has some of its DLC is free. Any wrestling fans might recognize Kenny Omega is in this. You can see his face in that DLC. So yeah, he's in here. So this is Like a Dragon. Ishan or Ishan? I don't know. Ishan. I think. I don't know. Yeah, thank you, because I don't know if I said that right. But yeah, and so the demo is still out there. You're not going to see Kenny Omega in the demo version. You probably have to buy the full thing to get the DLC where he's in it, along with a few other people. There was a few other people that I think you're supposed to know, and I literally don't know who the rest of them are, but I know who he is. Yeah. I saw a meme that was going around with people like photoshopped CM Punk's face on that, like him being jealous or just annoyed, I guess, which I thought was funny.
That's funny.
And then I put a couple things on here that I thought was funny. If you want the Jumanji board game, that is $8.99 on Amazon for anybody who enjoyed Jumanji. I just thought it would be funny to put that there. The unofficial Zelda cookbook hardcover book. This was interesting. I thought I'd mention is at Amazon for $28.73. All those little things that you cooked in Breath of the Wild and other games, they have like an actual recipe book here. They call it the unofficial Zelda cookbook, but I guess they're allowed to use that name and not get crucified by Nintendo, or maybe they got their blessing. I don't know. But yeah.
Those cookbooks be interesting, like making meals from the games and movies and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are all the sales. I don't know if you had sales as well, but I did want to mention also the PSVR 2 launches next week, and if you are interested in it, there's the version that comes bundled with the game Call of the Mountain, which I believe was supposed to be a Horizon spinoff, or a part of the Horizon world, Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West, that is. So it takes place years before that, almost like Hogwarts World Legacy, and it's all in VR. And so that bundle is $549, so it's $549.99, so basically $550. But that's the normal price for VR as well. So if you get that bundle, you get the game, or if you choose to just get the actual VR, you pay the same thing and don't get the game. So it's a little bit more value there technically. The game by itself is I think $60. So yeah, you get this game and with the bundle if you really want VR. I have no idea when I would actually get around to playing VR, if ever, just because of how much it costs, to be honest with you. But yeah, speaking of Horizon, Forbidden West, 1 year later it joins PS Plus. The not essential but extra and premium tiers, along with a bunch of other games that are very well known. And I guess this was a very strong month according to the internet for that. So The Quarry was another one, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, Resident Evil 7, Borderlands 3, Tekken 7, Ace Combat 7, EDF 5. I don't know what that is. What's EDF 5? You know?
No.
Okay, and then Oni Naki?
Earth Defense Force.
Oh, well, yeah, I know Earth Defense Force. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm reading this. Okay, and then Oninaki. I don't know that game too well. And then Lost Spear. And then I Am Setsuna. I don't know that game either. And then The Forgotten City. Yeah, so all of that comes out for February. So it's still very strong. Horizon being one of the main ones because that was like a PS5 exclusive. It's still relatively a $70 game outside of the holiday season. During the holiday season, it was as low as $30, and then you can do some finessing to make it even cheaper. If you know, you know. I'm pretty sure some people know. But yeah, man. For everybody else, if you got extra, you got access to this game. The game didn't really do too good compared to everything else. I guess Elden Ring was the main one, but yeah, it doesn't have to be negative. We can move on. So good for anybody who has extra. You get to play all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Resident Evil 7 was still there though. Maybe that was the PS Plus collection. But yeah, you guys still got.
On there. I thought 7 was already on there.
Yeah.
Not extra.
So that's still a reminder for people. You definitely have to hop on those extra games real quick before they get rid of it. Not extra, the collection, because that goes away in May, right?
Yes.
So try to get to it by the end of April for everybody. Don't wait until May and then you find out you was one day late. Just go claim them. There was one other thing for PlayStation I could mention real quick that I thought was kind of funny. Apparently, Sony has a patent out there that will allow players to rent NFTs. And so that might be a thing in the future.
Rent? Why do you want to borrow? Well, let me just get this for a little while. What?
I don't know, but that's gonna happen apparently. Maybe maybe it won't happen. I don't know, but that's a patent. They put that patent out there. So maybe one day, I don't know, but yeah.
Please do not rent a digital good that does nothing. Do not rent a digital art piece. I'm just saying that now. Do not do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of confusing, but I guess. You own it for however long and then you give it back, or you just wake up and it's taken back from you. I don't know.
What happens if you screenshot it? Do you now owe money? Like owe money? Is that it because you just stole it?
I have no idea. I don't know. But if it's a patent for within the game, then maybe it's like a weapon skin, and then all of a sudden you just don't have it no more. I don't know. I do not know. I would not be participating in it, but I just did see that, and it did seem silly for what it was. But yeah, so that happened, and we can move on. Ain't nobody getting no stupid. Get out of here, PlayStation. All right. Most of this stuff actually can go by real quickly. So I found out that the game Deliver Us Mars is actually a sequel to a game called Deliver Us the Moon, and I didn't know this before.
Oh, okay.
So even though Deliver Us Mars is out there, and I believe it's like it launched at like $30, you could technically go back and play this other game as well, and it's still more space stuff for anybody who was just waiting. It's taking you too long to play Starfield. You can play all these other space games, so that is there. The game called Scars Above, another space game. This is going to launch on February 27th. That was one that I, referenced in the past that I thought was pretty cool. So
Okay.
that's there. A game that actually just came out on February 16th. I thought that this was an interesting one that I liked. It's called Eldoran. It's like a side scroller, dungeon crawler kind of things. You look at it and can tell it's kind of like a PC and a Switch kind of game.
Okay.
And then ironically, those are the only platforms you can get it for right now. It's either Switch or PC. And so it launched and it is on sale for $16.99 right now in this launch window. And then it's going to go back to normal price, which is $19.99. Eldoran, you look at it and you'll see kind of like a person with a sword and shield, and they're kind of, you slashing at the enemy and stuff. There's boss fights everywhere and they're fighting back. The graphics are very similar to what Elder Souls was, and then kind of like Cult of the Lamb almost too. So yeah, that came out. So that's on my radar. I did wish list it. I'll probably get to it at some point. Another thing I could mention real quick. I don't want to fly through everything, but this is probably also another one that's more of a bigger topic, but I don't think it's that big to me. Redfall had some controversy that came about, and I think
Tell me about this.
Xbox kind of moonwalked again real fast. I don't believe that there was a mistake here, but basically it came out that Redfall's physical copy version was going to be shipped out with no disc, and it was supposed to be just a download code. And
Then that's not physical.
yeah, and I don't understand why that was a thing, but apparently you would have bought, the case, and it just would have had a code in it. Then you would have took the code and put it in. But what ended up happening was like the very next day, or just I think maybe today, like earlier today. As of this recording, this is gonna go out the next day, but basically they was like, oh, that's not actually true. It's actually gonna go out with a disc. And I think they probably made a last minute change. I don't believe that it was not gonna have it. I think they were really gonna ship this out without the disc, and then moonwalked because of the backlash. But yeah, this is another game just like Hogwarts where it's going to require internet, but I don't think it's just for the day one patch. I think it's really, really going to require internet. Because if you're not
Redfall is a multiplayer game, so yeah, it's going to require internet.
Yeah, and so you weren't going to get a disc, but there are some reports that are just now starting to say no, that's not true. You are going to actually get a disc, I guess. So we'll see. We'll look back on this. I'll probably make a note to look back on this for next week to see what the truth really is on it. But yeah, physical copy with no disc. How you feel about that?
They're gonna ship it with a disc, not Redfall. Just it's gonna be one of those blank white CDs. It's like, here's a disc. You can put whatever you want on this.
Go make a mixtape of all your favorite songs.
Matter of fact, he's gonna ship with the mixtape from one of the employees. He gonna put his mixtape in there.
Listen to my mixtape. That's what's gonna happen.
While you play Redfall.
That's what's gonna happen, I guess.
While you waiting for it to download, listen to my mixtape.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I don't want to move to digital solely because things just get shut down. And then it's just gone forever.
Yeah, there was the controversy with Knockout City and some of the other games that we was talking about.
Yeah, it's like you just can't download it. And I like the way a physical collection looks. But it's this weird idea, it's like, well, the game doesn't get support anymore, and it's like shut down, so you can't download it anymore because it's been removed from the store. So it's like, well, then no, I want to be able to get a physical copy. Because like, what would happen if I wanted to play this, but I didn't get it right away?
Yeah.
And then it got shut down, and you could no longer download it.
Yeah.
And I want to play it like 10 years from now. I can get a physical disc and just plug it in.
Right.
If they have an offline mode. But if it's been removed from the store, that's it. There's no downloading it. So,
yeah, and that's interesting too, because like I was going to mention like later on, like I've been playing a bunch of PS3 games, or just one right now, but it's because I have the disc in hand, and I have the system, and the way this is going, it seems like something like Redfall, that probably wouldn't be the case. Later on, there might be some funny business going on. where you probably can't play for whatever reason. We don't know what would happen. Microsoft is still a very big juggernaut, but anything can happen, you know? And if you can't just own the product, it's like, because imagine if Dreamcast was digital earlier on, like all the stuff, everybody treats Dreamcast as like one of the holier than thou holy grails of like early retro, right? People love the Dreamcast, but if they did stuff like this, we probably would never even have access to like a Dreamcast, you know?
But like that's the whole thing too. Like or yeah, when they just like remove things from the storefront, or like the issue where they said you couldn't they had the hardest time uploading like PS3 games.
Yeah.
Because of the way they have to like stream because of that. Like, what if that happens like 2 generations from now? Where it's like, oh, we can't read PS5 disc anymore because that's just not where we're at. Well, that means I would have to go get a PS5 system. But if it's a download code and it can't read the game for whatever reason, like the way it's coded, like I just don't get to have it. Because even when, like, because, you know, there was a lot of PS3 games that were purely just download.
Yeah.
That you could get that you just can't access anymore because they're like, we can't run the game. So
yeah, that's where emulation comes in. It's like I would never speak bad about emulation. In some cases, it's like that's literally the only way. That's the only way you would get emulation. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it sounds like, at least for Redfall's case, Microsoft is moonwalking. Mainly because they have the ability to, but some other games might pull the fast one and then they won't have the ability to just put the money up real quick to save their name. And then that's just what it's going to be. And that's what we were actually already starting to see with some of those free-to-play games. It's just like, hey, we're just getting rid of it if we don't like it, and you just ain't going to have it. That's just it.
Yep.
And I don't like that, because a game I'm going to talk about later on, Infamous, is like, I would like to still play it, have the ability to play it. I wouldn't want to like, only access I have to it is through Platinum, or what is it called? Platinum?
Extra.
Yeah, extra, or extra. No, I think premium. That's what it is. I don't know why I said Platinum. But yeah, that would be my only way. And I got to pay a monthly thing for it, because even though people like the service and stuff, people like extra. People don't really like premium that much because it hasn't really evolved or add anything else to it. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to have to go through the service. I would like to, even if I only had the digital front, I would still want to just buy it. But with some of those games, they don't give you the ability to do that, because the only way they can offer it is through streaming. It's like,
so you gotta rent it and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I ain't liking that. And it sounds like they want to do that going forward anyway, if they're going to patent the whole NFT thing. So yeah, it's
everything's just gonna become what was that, GameFly?
Yeah,
you get to rent any game you want to play. Like, you can rent it now. I don't like that.
I ain't really feeling that, but we can get into some more of your topics real quick. I did see, so I wrote it down, and we just go from we're in so overtime, but I Am Legend having a sequel. Oh, I saw it's like Michael B. Jordan and everything. Go ahead.
They're making an I Am Legend 2 with Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith, but the I Am Legend 2 is a sequel to the alternate ending for I Am Legend. So the one that released I Am Legend,
that's going to be confusing. Yeah,
and then if you got the DVD, you were able to see the alternate ending, and the sequel takes place based off of the alternate ending, which just lets me know that it was like, well, they definitively ended I Am Legend, but they don't have any ideas, so they need to sequel stuff. So they need to sequel that movie, so they got to go after the alternate ending, because it's the only way they can potentially get a sequel.
That's interesting, because I didn't see the alternate ending. I think I just saw the regular
I've
one.
seen this movie a long time ago, but basically in the alternate ending, the part where he would have like taken himself and the virus thingy. The virus thingy displays like a butterfly, which was trying to say like, the girl you're trying to protect, like, that's my girl, please don't kill it. So then he lets the girl go, and then the thing like kind of goes off, and that's when he realized, oh, these things want love too. And then they like, you know what, let me not try and kill them anymore. And then he goes off to the survivors and everything, but he's like all like, you know, what are we doing? Why are we killing these things? And then it takes place later.
Mm. Okay.
So it doesn't sound good, but they're making
Yeah.
it.
Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. There was something that I had heard about him. Apparently, Matrix. He was supposed to be in the Matrix, and this is one of those rare cases where if they let Warner Brothers have what they wanted, it probably would have been better. Because apparently he was supposed to be in it, and they were actually going to go with a whole new trilogy and make him the one. But the problem was it was not going to have the Wachowski director in it. I think one of them didn't want to be in it anyway. And so the one that was left was basically like the reason the film was so bad. They kind of alluded to it in the film itself. That's why people was like, oh, they don't understand what was going on with it. Because they said in the film too, literally, that was like they were going to make the film without them and do the contract if they didn't want to be a part of it. So Keanu was still like on board. The Wachowski director that stayed was still on board and was upset. Like the rumor is that they made it bad on purpose because they were going to like leave him out of it. But one of the things was that Michael B. Jordan was going to be the next Neo, basically. And they were going to have a full 3 films. And so all of that got scrapped because they were going to scrap the director. So the director's like, well, forget you. I'm going to scrap him and I'm going to scrap everything. I'm going to bring Keanu back and whatever. I've seen some people make videos on it, but it makes sense.
Imagine being a director and actually putting what you thought was a great idea in a movie, and everybody goes, "Oh yeah, he must have just made it bad on purpose." You're like,
it's like, this is a passion project. I've been wanting this so bad. And it's like, nah, they made it bad on purpose. That's why.
It's like, I get it.
That would be so bad. Yeah. So tell me about How to Train Your Dragon.
So, speaking of running out of Hollywood ideas, they decided for one of the, like, I thought it was a really good series of movies, the Disney Pixar How to Train Your Dragons. They're making a live action, and I don't think it's going to look good live action because cartoon dragons look cute and fluffy. Real life, like live action dragons look scary. You can't make that like friendly, like, oh, who's a good boy with a dragon, like, because those things just look like monsters. So I don't, and it's just running out of ideas. I think this was fine as an animated movie. You're not going to bring more people in. It was like, oh, now I'll watch it. Because, I mean, I guess there is some people that's like that. They refuse to watch anything animated. But you're not going to like it. Just move on. So they really have run out of ideas that everything has to be a reboot or a sequel or a live action version.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
They really have run out of ideas. It's kind of crazy at this point because some stuff is like, really nobody asked for it. I don't think certain things just don't age well either. Like I heard that they were trying to do a Beetlejuice movie or remake.
Nope, leave it. Just leave it. Anyone who wants to see that can just go watch it. Like there's no reason for it to take place. Because I feel like
now. It's 2 of them, Beetlejuice, and then there was Hocus Pocus. Where it's like,
they did do that one, didn't they?
They already did that Hocus Pocus one?
Yeah.
I was just like, it's clearly anybody who's seen the original is like, yo, like, if you are even still alive, like, you've moved on way past this. There's no way we bringing people back. And
Hocus Pocus had a sequel. It was technically a sequel.
Well, Beetlejuice is supposed to be next. So, yeah.
No. Just leave it alone. I don't understand why can't Hollywood even just come up with something inspired by it. It's like they're afraid to try and develop. They're just like, nah, sequel. But at the same time, when they release new stuff, people only go to things for sequels. Like they're like, oh, I recognize Ghostbusters name, let's go. Like that's it. They won't like watch anything new. Like I don't know. All I know is soon I'll be going to the theaters eventually to go see Cocaine Bear.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah. I guess also, so WWE 2K23, so it's confirmed now that 14 matches. John Cena's showcase is going to have 14 matches. I believe these are all supposed to be the ones that he lost, right?
Yes.
His biggest losses.
I won't go through and spoil, like, you know, every single match you're going to end up playing. Just, I've realized, though, that if you look back at his career, you can see this, too. There's a lot of SummerSlam matches here. SummerSlam is not his pay-per-view. But
that's funny.
It's all of his big losses, and there's going to be 14 of them. I don't know if they go in order. Okay. Like, I don't think they do, because the one that's been confirmed that everybody knows about, they keep advertising the RVD John Cena one.
Yeah.
Like last. I've just noted in every list, that one's always listed last, where like other big losses have taken place after that, and they're also in the showcase mode beforehand. So I don't know how he's telling the story. But I don't think
I don't know what would be a bigger loss for him, like after The Rock. I forgot. Like, what are the big loss? I can't, unless you want to say Undertaker at the Streak.
Yes. So Undertaker.
That match almost don't even count. That did not seem like a real match to me at all. It was just like, what? But,
also, he's wrestled AJ Styles.
Oh yes.
Right at SummerSlam, there was the stuff with Brock.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
So there's some other stuff. That was
a big one, man. That Brock match.
I do feel
crazy.
Like the Rock one is the kind of like relatively the biggest.
The way they promoted it and stuff, yeah. But he still had his rematch. I don't know if he really in real life.
Side story, really quick, just really fast. I just saw a video. Apparently, there was like a basketball game where they had like celebrities on the team too. And the Miz made a half-court shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nice. I just saw it was like the final buzzer. They were down by 3. And they said it didn't count. They said his feet was still on the ground after it buzzed. Which I'm like, give it to him. But like he just grabbed the ball, shot from half court, and made it. And he celebrated like he won. And but everybody was like celebrating and everything. Yeah. But then they were like, it didn't count. And I was like, that's trash. But yeah.
Well, speaking of something that probably shouldn't count, E3 is still happening.
Yeah, I don't know why. So despite they confirmed that they're like, we are still happening, even though, of course, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo all won't be there, and Ubisoft is like, I don't know, is what he's saying. So
I will say, though, I appreciated the PC show, if I remember correctly. It was a couple shows. They had one where it was like some of the shows that weren't involving the big 3 were still okay. The Capcom one I thought was still fine. And then Square Enix was okay. Like, there was still something to pull out of it, but you still have to go through an hour's worth of somebody else's show. Yeah. But I think the PC one for sure was the one where I was able to pull like a lot of little stuff here and there. The PC one and the indie show. Yeah. Now, when they start doing that, like, here's the inclusive show, and then here's like a straight up Zoom meeting that one time and stuff, it was like, okay, what are you even doing? You're not even showing a game.
So as long as E3 isn't all just the Zoom meeting on inclusivity,
I'm like, what are you even doing?
It might be a good place for a lot of AA developers.
Yeah,
to really show out. If the big ones won't be there to drown them out, right? Theirs are gonna look graphically good. Like, it's hard to be like, check out our really cool AA game, and then somebody like right after is like, look at God of War. Like, so if you like really could like AA focus, and then some indie developers as well, this might be a good place to really spotlight them. Like, because I guarantee, even though it's already out, that a cowboy gun game where you're like fighting against like zombies that we need to try. Evil West. I bet you like Evil West would have been a great highlight at like a AA showcase to really be like, look at this old school looking like PS3 style game with better graphics and everything, without being like compared to a bunch of other AAA games. I think Evil West would have been able to shine. So something like that would be good.
Okay. Yeah, so it's still happening. It's still happening. I appreciate the extra shows when they show something that I like, but it is going to be kind of a pain to go through like an hour's worth almost. Like, it was actually okay for me because I dual screened it. Because I got more than one screen, so I had like one going one time. Like I was watching them after the fact, and I'll have one on one screen, one on the other one. And if something's good on one screen, I'll pause the other one. If they're both bad, I was just letting it play into something. That's how I got through it. That's how I got through it. Plus, we'll mention right on top of that, the Jeff Keighley show, the summer show that he does, is usually the week before, and he always like to make it grand with all these performances and everything. So
yeah,
there's also going to be that.
Extra.
It's going to be real extra. Yeah. And then what's going on with Civilization 7?
So for our real-time strategy fans, just real quick,
Sure.
Civ 7 has been confirmed to be in development.
Okay.
But they promoted Heather Hazen to Firaxis studio head. I don't know who she is, but she was one of the people that worked there, and she's been promoted. But Jake Solomon, who's been a longtime developer, Hazen was chief operating officer, but the longtime developer Jake Solomon has like departed. He seems like he's just ready to do some new stuff. But for the Civ 7 people, it's like I don't know how you feel about it. With like they're making another game, but the guy who used to be in charge is no longer there. So caution there, I guess. But like you are getting your Civ 7. So
all right. I wanted to save this for this part. This is probably also going to be non-gaming related. It's not going to take over as much as the Harry Potter thing. That I didn't expect it to be that long. Somebody gonna listen to this, be like, what are you talking about? You talking about Harry Potter? But like, it also just came out. I thought it would be interesting because I don't really know this person. I'm not a YouTuber that long, but apparently the CEO of YouTube stepped down after 9 years.
Hear about that.
Yeah, and so another person stepped down, and I thought this would be interesting because I'd like to get your reaction on this, because apparently the person that's going to be the new CEO is also very heavy on NFTs, and so we might end up seeing something like that.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. It's not necessarily the step down; it's the who takes over.
Yeah,
and that's not a good takeover.
Yeah, and so we might end up seeing something
YouTube
NFT
NFTs
related with YouTube. It would be really annoying to see that with content creators. But hey, we might end up seeing something like that that's exclusive to the YouTube. So,
yikes!
Yeah. Yeah, but in other news, I guess Tetris is getting a movie soon. I don't understand this.
So Tetris is getting a movie, and my my mindset went to, I don't know how many people remember, but there used to be this channel that made fake video game movie trailers.
Okay.
So they had like one was like Legend of Zelda, but then like Tetris and then Pac-Man, where like for the Pac-Man, it was some dude who's like a yellow motorcycle helmet around shooting ghosts off of a motorcycle and everything. Like it was super silly, and they try to make it look all real even though it's not. And they used to drop these every April Fools, and one of them was Tetris, where like somebody was about to be a new, like, people drive the Tetris things, but then as they land into their spots of like rows get deleted, they blow up. I don't know what was happening. It didn't really explain it. It was just things happening like a generic action movie. Okay. So they were like, there's a Tetris movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So in my head, I went straight to that. But I watched the trailer. It turns out it's a movie, which this makes more sense. Okay. It's a movie. Apparently, the legal battle to secure the rights to Tetris was a very wild time. And this movie is the true story of the high stakes legal battle. Like, apparently it was a big deal with like one guy trying to really promote it, where he created it under like with Japanese developers, but then tried to like take the IP and sell it elsewhere without them to get a bunch of money, and then it like got into like mob stuff. Like it got crazy, I guess. And they're gonna be showing that. So it's the history of the rights to Tetris, which makes a lot more sense than a movie based off of the game Tetris.
That almost sounds like a documentary.
Yeah, it's just, of course, things are going to be exaggerated and things like that. But yeah, it's sort of that. It's like a documentary, but like crazy. And I think it's going to be on Apple TV Plus. so it might be like a TV series instead. Or no, it's a movie, but Apple TV Plus.
I was gonna say there's no way I'm
But
gonna
at the end
watch
of March.
a movie or a TV series on Tetris. Like,
But I
there's
would
no
say check
way.
out the trailer. It does look interesting. It looks wild. Uh, yeah, so that's existing.
Okay. Last thing I think I'll just mention, because we were actually going very long, but so I did play Infamous. So that was the PS3 game. My
Yeah.
co-host gave me a bunch of games for anybody who wants to know. Just to borrow real quick. I'm actually farther in Infamous 1 than I would have thought. So in my playthroughs, I would only play like 5 missions or 6 missions, you know? And basically I have been playing most of the week, but like I will skip a day or two here and there. But the how far I am, I have unlocked the second, like I got the bridge down so you can go in the other area. I
Okay.
got a lot of his little powers and stuff. And I'm really digging the game. I do say like they don't make games like this anymore because I noticed that it's like a lot more, it's more gritty. You know, it's not shiny and pretty-ish. It looks real gritty. It looks real like this is a rugged city kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, dark stuff that happens here and there, like the Reapers and everything, but it's just like just the overall thing. I do appreciate the open world aspect of it, but I've been playing it a little bit more linear, just trying to get through it. But I like the little details in the game because I didn't really pay that much attention to it when I first had the game a long time ago, but didn't finish. Like sometimes people interact with you a little bit. Like they'll say, "Oh, let me get a picture of you" or something, or somebody
As long
might
as
say,
you're a good guy, yeah.
"Oh yeah," because I think right now I'm a good guy. And then if you like electrocute a telephone pole, or not a telephone pole, like a phone booth, it'll like start to ring, little things like that. So it's little things like that that I appreciate. I appreciate in the game. So I think
I'm interested to hear your thoughts once you finish it, and then when you start the second one. So Infamous is one of my favorite. Like it is in my top 5 of game series. So
Oh really?
yeah, I loved the whole Infamous series. So I'm interested to hear what else you think about the other stuff too.
I think I will probably be done with it after 2 more playthroughs because I think I'm far according to what I looked at.
Okay.
I think I'm far. Maybe it's not that long, but each playthrough is like 2 to maybe 3 hours, and I think the game itself is like a 12-hour game, and I played it like 3 or 4 times, so it makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna probably head straight into part 2 while playing like Control, Quantum Break, other stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm playing that. I don't think I would ever get any footage off the PS3 though, because I think I'm just not going to stress it. But the PS3 is running fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I remember thinking I was more subconscious about it before because somebody had said because it was one of the back compat ones or whatever. But no, it's running fine. It's running fine. But yeah, I think that's it, man. We ran far. I didn't think the other part was going to be long, but I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say? I think we're good.
Yeah. We are good. We ran along. Try out Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I'm hungry. And so, yeah, that's it. Have a good day. We will see you later. Subscribe, all of that stuff. Peace.